go. Cut the mic, cut the mic. Welcome to the HR broadcast here on Sunday, April 12th, 2026. How the hell are you? A1AL, think of the 27 months. Super Stu Guy, think of the 18 months. Kukaku, think of the 25. Tifos, think of the 11 months. Jebroon, think of the 13 months. A lot of crazy new war stuff to talk about today, but I do have to check on my escapism for the year. The Los Angeles Lakers, who are currently beating the ass of the Utah Jazz. Perfect. We're going to get the 3 seed, folks. The 3 seed secured. The 3 seed secured. Hey, wins amount. Thank you for the 55 months. Saltadillo. Thank you for the 25 months. Finally got a job after getting my PhD in August. Let's go. August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April. Holy, you've been hunting, huh? You've been hunting. Congrats. If Denver wins one, they get a 3 seed. I think Denver lost. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misread. But I think 3 seeds locked. Atrioc, I'm a property manager in LA, and I work very closely with a few smaller landlords. There are people frothing at the mouth to develop regular housing, but they can't because building something new makes it so unprofitable. You mean like zoning or what? Hello! What's your itinerary for July? Maisie, I can't plan my stream 1 day ahead. 1 day ahead I can't plan. And you're asking me to plan for all of July. It's impossible. What a ridiculous concept. My itinerary for July. No, I have no idea. I have no idea, Maisie. I can't answer that question if you had a gun to my head. I'm going to be in LA in July. Do you want to see me or not? Oh, that's what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, come stay with us. We have a guest room. Maisie, come stay with us. You fly first class. Linkus flies in coach. Linkus won't be there. You still mean it? Yeah, I still mean it. Come on out. Ari would love to see you. Ari would love to see you. If the suite isn't there, yeah, well, we'll zoom him in. Soros, show them for the 65 months. I've been sub for 65 months, and I appreciate the monthly itineraries you personally sent me each month. Shh. Everyone thinks I haven't planned anything, but you know that I plan every stream carefully to the minute, months ahead of time, and I send it out only to my most faithful subscribers. This is completely a self-glaze, but I want to tell people I paid off my student loans this week. Hopefully it goes something good and not into a fire. Congratulations. 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 Pog champ. It's a nice feeling. It's a nice feeling. Have that monkey off your back. So congratulations. Found out my friend found you at a melee thing a few years back, called you a coffee cow, and gave you a bunch of sour candy. That shit is so funny. I guess. I remember your friend. Because I was sitting there watching melee, and they came up with me. They mooed at me. They called me the coffee cow, and I was about to be mad, but then they handed me a cup filled with sour candy, and I was like, all right, you're all right. I was like, you're all right. You checked off this time. Quick draw madness. Thank you for the 18 months. Thank you for the 18 months. Atrioc, you're turning 3,005 next week. I didn't get my invite to your birthday party. It's in the mail. You guys are all invited to my 3,000th birthday party. Christel's going to be there. Rare appearance from him. Christ will be there. Dracula. A lot of the greats. A lot of the greats are going to be there. Obama will be there. It's going to be a real shindig. And obviously all my chatters who are like the modern day Socrates of our time. Joe Biden, he always says he'll show up, but he's a little flaky. He's a little flaky. He falls asleep. Joe Biden, you know what I'm saying? He gets eepy. He just gets eepy. You know what you're gonna say. Classic sleepy Joe. You can't hold against them. Atrioc, I'm 16. I want to go into economics in college. Do you think the market for economists will have a glut when I graduate? Do you think we're going to get a doctorate and need a chance? You're planning really far ahead for 16. You're planning really far ahead for 16. I appreciate your foresight. You might be drafted, bro. Be real. you might be fighting a war, dude. Let's relax on whether or not you can figure out your fucking doctorate. Listen, take it one step at a time. Do something you're interested in. See if you like it. Adapt if you don't. Many people change their major early on, even if you are gonna go to college. So I wouldn't overset yourself on a site, but any chance for the boys or that not happening? Maybe, but probably not tonight. Probably not tonight. I'm usually not a Sunday streamer. I just really want to talk about the news today. The insane new news. As this stream is building into politics, I assume, given the name, how do you feel about this? Is the first person to ever reference the title in their message. Thank God. The first person to use the title as context as to what might be talked about and then build into that. Instead of being like, are you gonna talk about the blockade? Yeah, probably. It's in the fucking title, bro. Yeah. Okay, thank you for doing that. Thank you for seamlessly entering a room and using a little bit of fucking context clues. Yeah, how do I feel about Texas Pulling Blue? You are asking if it's an actual thing or an anti-Trump thing. It's both, right? But I think it's anti-Trump, yeah. Because every election, every single minor and major election is polling more Democratic because of Trump's poor polling. So it remains to be seen. I don't know if Texas is a fucking pivot, but certainly the best chance in a long time. But I was talking with a friend whose mom is pretty important MP here in Canada, and he was telling me of the impossibility of the Canadian real estate problem. What can they realistically do about it? Oh, you want me to solve it? Your important friend, Canadian MP's mom, says it's impossible, but you want me to just wrap that shit up with a bow? Yeah, no problem. I think they should turn all the hockey stadiums into excess housing, and they have so many of them that everyone would have a nice place to sleep. Solved. Genius. No, I mean, it's not an easy fix, bro. It's not an easy fix. They would have to take a lot of pain. To deflate the housing bubble in Canada would be extremely painful for Canada's biggest companies, which are all banks, for Canadian employment, for the wealth of most established Canadians who have put their money into housing, for new millennial Canadians who saved all their fucking money to get a massive loan for a house they could barely afford, and everyone will be hurt. But you kind of have to do it. That's the problem with these fucking real estate bubbles, is eventually you got to pop them. Or it just gets worse and worse and worse and worse. Australian PM announced a few hours ago they weren't consulted on the blockade. Yeah, I mean, is that a surprise? They didn't consult the American public on the war. They didn't consult Congress. You think they're going to consult the Australian PM? It's almost arrogant to say so at this point. It's like, is anyone here British? Bro, it's been, listen, I'm not a fan of whoever's going to come after him, but Keir Starmer's been kind of just an embarrassing leader. It's just been really bad. And Keir Starmer just keeps talking about these big geopolitical movements like his word matter. Like he's at the table, but he's not at the table, bro. He's not, he keeps like not being informed on anything, showing up 2 days after and then being like, yeah, well, we're gonna have a little. He just keeps. I don't know. it's and it's like he's got more important things to worry about on the home front. But hey, no disrespect. I mean, I'm not fucking. I got Trump in my fucking country. What am I gonna do? Yeah, exactly. That's the vibe I get from Keir Starmer talking about everything, not just Iran war, everything lately. He's like not talking enough about like middle power domestic issues, which is like one of the things you should be focused on. Everyone's mad about. He's focused on these big geopolitical things where the UK has no say. He's like the little bro with the unplugged controller. And that's not even just America. That's like China said this. China said this to the UK, bro. They were like, listen, I don't know what they said. This is a little while back, but they said like, it's going to be impossible for our relations to stay unstrained if you keep acting like it was, I don't remember the specifics, but it was very, very funny. Anyway, unrelated. Not sure if you've spoken about it, but there was a leaked memo to the White House staffers talking about how they need to stop placing bets on prediction markets, which I'm sure caused them to make a prediction market bet before that memo leaked on whether the memo would leak. I'm sure they used that insider information on the memo to make another profitable insider trade. Everyone in this fucking administration is insider trading on oil markets, stock markets, and prediction markets. In fact, the prediction market ones are the chump change. They're the bottom of the barrel. The real money's made in the fucking actual markets where they literally move them with tweets and words and actions. Why doesn't Canada print more money and use that money to buy more houses? Such a brilliant idea. They kind of do that already. It's exactly what they do. That's what they're doing right now. They are printing money, and that money is trickling through banks to housing. Not building housing, really, but to buying it. Duranga, thank you for the prime. Why doesn't Canada print more maple syrup and sell it for more housing? You know, if you could print physical goods, it would change everything. The entire reason that this money printing strategy is such a long-term failure for every country that tries it is because you cannot print energy. You can't print oil. You can't print uranium. You can't print anything that matters, really. And so it all comes crashing down in the end. Can't print gold. Once they crack that, they have a fucking 3D molecular printer that can print objects of true value. Uh-oh. Who knows? Fucking whole paradigm changes. What about Melania? I'm sorry. Do you think when you said what about Melania in response to that, it sounds like you're asking if Melania can print energy. I thought you were asking if Melania Trump can print energy. And I got to tell you, based on the movie Melania, critical documentary hit, she can. She fucking can. She can print gold anytime she puts her face on screen because she was a star-studded event in that movie. Okay? She prints dollars at the box office. She printed $1 million. Atrioc, I'm going to be the future president of the world. All right, calling your shot. Everyone get ready for Banana Feet 21 to be the future president of the world. You have to respect that level of confidence. Should I make some time for me to appear on the pod and make fun of Aiden? Yes. Please, Banana Feet, please. It would be such an honor to have the president of the world on my humble podcast making fun of Aiden Calvin. That would be... Wait, I got an embarrassing China story. When we were in Hong Kong, I arrived there first. And I went to the hotel to check in. And it was under Aiden's name. So I went to the lobby and I was like, hey, hotel room under Aiden Calvin. And they look it up and they're like, sorry, there's nothing under that name. And I'm like, can you check again? Aiden Calvin. And I'm like, here's his photo. I mean, here's his passport or whatever. He sent me the picture. And they're like, no, I'm sorry. And then I call Aiden. I'm like, dude, you not fucking book the hotel? He's like, no, I booked it. I swear. It's like, here's the, and I go back and then I'm like, oh, his last name's McKay. It's like, I knew that, but we call him Aiden. I mean, it's just so stupid, bro. It's like so burned into my head. It's so burned into my head that I was asking them. Anyway, that's, what are you going to do? So anyway, I changed the reservation, then I locked the room door, and then I cut off all contact, so he had no place to stay. A little fun little friend thing to do, you know? Fair's fair, you know? Fair's fair for having a dumb last name. Get on, dork. Atrioc, should I try to grow this stash out for the first time or just give up again? This time you got it, Crane. I really believe this time the stash comes in full and bountiful. And people go, wow, nice stash. I really feel it. You got to power through. This is going to be quite the stash you've got brewing. The Tom Selleck of our time. True. Atrioc, trying to buy a sub to support you, but I lost my card. Can I borrow yours for a bit? You want to borrow my card to subscribe to me? You're a 50-month subscriber. All right, do you mind just I'll just type the number in chat and the 3 little numbers in the back, and yeah, it sounds good. It sounds like a fine plan. You know what? I'll just say it out loud. It's 69420 420 69420, and the 3 little numbers are 420. Put that in, and you are eating good. All right, everyone, just buy a little bit. Don't be greedy with it. Just buy a little bit. Okay. Holy shit! It worked. Holy shit! It worked. Oh my God, everyone in chat is eating good, dude. WWW. All right, we're going to talk about Iran in just a second. I'm just sort of letting the vibes percolate, you know. It is a Sunday after all. By the way, a little personal news. I had my best game of basketball ever today. Nobody congratulated me yet. I hit 5 threes. 5 threes. Do you know how big that is for me? That's insane. I'm Luke Kennarding. It was huge. I got picked a little bit earlier after. It was good. It was a big deal. I was fucking feeling myself. Man, I love basketball. It's so fun lately to play. Will you try the 1,000 3-point challenge? Probably not. I think it'd be a bad stream for me. But I will practice. Hit the same amount of threes as Bronny today. Bronny hit 5 threes today? God damn, Bronny James. God damn. Lakers need you? Lakers do not need another white boy shooter. So, Lakers have an abundance of that. When they need some fucking defense, bro. They're the whitest goddamn team in the NBA, bro. It's crazy. The Snow Time Lakers. They don't need them. Any chance we'll see Class Clown soon? I'll try to do it tomorrow. I think tomorrow would be a good time to do it after the France presentation. Today I'm talking about Iran and the new blockade of the blockade. But tomorrow I'll do the France presentation and we'll do Class Clown hopefully right afterwards. That would be the ideal. Okay. Any other questions? Probably like 5 minutes. We'll start this. I want to talk about it. Atrioc, I saw you were missing from the streamer Mr. Beast video. As a big fan of Jimmy Beast, I'm assuming you were invited and were just busy that day. Sort of funny how that works. LOL. Feels like a ton of overlap with your content. Ton of overlap with my content and Jimmy Beast. Me and Jimmy Beast have a lot of overlap, you think? We're like two peas in a pod. Yeah. Yeah, you know, you're right. I was invited. I couldn't make it that day, but I do love Jimmy Beast and his content, and I think it's what I aspire to be. Atrioc, do you love unofficial clip channels? Not really, but you know, the market provides. The truth is, if it's something I haven't used for a month, which is the rule, why not let them make a clip? It's just annoying sometimes because I think they make regular ass clips super clickbaity. So like I'll watch, you know, if I click and I watch one of my clips, it'll recommend me some of them and it'll be like, I don't know. Obama said what? And it's like WTF on the screen. And then I click and it's like I'm making fun of Obama's tan suit or something. It's like, you know, it's like they take a little clip that's just mostly a joke and and then I feel like, oh my God, is Big A Quick yours or not? It's not mine. The only channels that are mine are Atrioc, AKA the Age of Empires gaming channel that has almost 1 million subs and basically only exists for Age of Empires. And then Big A. Those are my channels. And then VODs, Atrioc VODs. I have 3 channels. That's it. Nothing else is mine. Everything else is fake. But we allow them to make clip channels as long as they don't use anything from the past month. If they use anything that's less than a month old, we strike them because often it fucks with something an editor is working on. And that's not fair. That's not cool. I love the AOE2 content. Dude, I gotta tell you, honest to God, you may not think it. I know that the Big A channel does better on straight views, but that video is doing really well. That video has crazy watch time. It's 123,000 watch hours. That's above like a full Lemonade Stand podcast. That's above most Big A clips. Like, people are like, you know, it has 300,000 views, which is already good for that kind of video, but it's doing crazy. I mean, I thought that would do way worse. And it might even hit the algo on RTS people and pick up even more. So I'm super stoked that video did well, honestly. It was really entertaining despite me not playing the game ever. Your commentary was good. Thank you. I guess what you're saying is I'm kind of the GOAT. I guess you're saying is like Hera's good, but like I'm sort of better almost in a way. I appreciate that. That's very nice of you to say. This is why we aren't nice to him. It's so fucked, dude. It's so fucked. Okay? It's such a fucked dynamic. God. My chat. No, don't fucking fire pin that. You should do the same thing and message Trump on Discord telling him to switch to Vikings in Iran. Trump, you got this goat, pick Vikings. He might listen. He always listens to the last guy he talked to. Atrioc, if you had to pick 3 videos that represent your entire body of work, what would you choose? I only need one. The Hollow Knight tier list. The Hollow Knight boss tier list. Kind of chef's kiss. Sums it up. It is my best video. I did peak with that. It's all downhill. And yeah, I don't need any other. That's it. That's when I'm gone off this earth in the year 4000. I want that to be my legacy, is that I accurately ranked the Hollow Knight bosses. Not Gavin Newsom. Oh, this reminds me. This week I want to do a clip. This is gonna sound crazy, about Charlie Kirk, and it's not about him carrying the flame. Wait, I gotta remind myself. I need to make a note or something. I saw a clip of Charlie Kirk and it reminded me so much. Charlie Kirk, Tucker, Atrioc, Gavin. This is I just saw this like a few hours ago, and I was like, wait, this would be such an interesting discussion. And so I will carry the flame on that one. That's a reminder to myself. And I'll carry the flame, dude. It's gonna get Kirkified. Low, how do you say that? Everyone types low Kirkuinly. That's the worst slang of all time. Low Kirkuinly. Yeah, that's how I feel, dude. Sound it out, little bro. I did. I literally did. Don't say sound it out, little bro, after I sounded it out correctly. Okay. All right. Guys, we're getting too Charlie Kirkified. That's not my goal. Isto, you did this. Isto, this is on you. Okay? We were having a normal discussion, and now everything got Kirkified, and it's because of Isto. And he came in with this question. And it's how high Kirkuinly, it's getting fucking crazy. Weeks of devious planning. So speaking of which, guys, my last thing I'll say about Isto here, because I have to get into other stuff, but I visited Isto in Canada. And my wife came with me, and she got the worst food poisoning of her life. The worst. The absolute worst food poisoning of her life. And we were just talking about, we were at dinner recently talking about the worst we've ever felt, like whether you're sick or pained or whatever. And my wife was like, yeah, I think the worst I ever felt was that food poisoning in Canada. Ever in her whole life. She was like doubled over, like couldn't. That's what's going on here. Trudeau sends his regards. Just because I made fun of Katy Perry going into space. He got back at my wife because I made fun of his girlfriend, Katy Perry. Oh my God. He can't take a fucking joke in that country, dude. He can't take a fucking joke. And because I made fun of him for the brown face and for being a world leader who brags about being able to do a pratfall down the stairs. all because of that, he's striking back at me. He's at Coachella right now in California. Oh my God. Devious. Personally, the worst I've ever felt was when I think about women's repression, but I guess your thing sounds bad too. I didn't say my thing yet. I said my wife's thing was about food poisoning. My personal thing? The Holocaust. I think that was one of the worst. That's the worst feeling I got. So, I don't know. Yes, that's kind of worse, but just me. That was pretty. This guy, wait, where's this guy? He's got a point. That was pretty bad. Hey, you know what? All jokes. Kind of spitting on that one. All right, folks. Enough dilly dally. I gotta talk because we got a clip out tonight about this. Listen, folks. Bada bing, bada boom. Today, April 12th, 2026, we have just had peace talks for the war in Iran in Islamabad. Okay? Why did they choose Islamabad? Because when they were listing cities, someone said Islamabad, and JD Vance said, hell yeah, it is. JD Vance, by the way, our lead negotiator. He's only the most unpopular vice president at this point in the presidency ever. Which is weird because he's doing the same thing Dick Cheney did, invade the Middle East. But Dick Cheney had plus 37. He's minus 18. What happened? What happened to this country? Our least popular vice president ever at this point in his term is our lead negotiator in Islamabad to talk with Iran. And they had 21 hours of peace talks in a row. It was a marathon session. They just kept trying to hammer out details of the peace agreement. And at the end of the 21-hour peace talks, J.D. Vance came out with good news and with bad news.
We have been at it now for 21 hours, and we've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America.
Good news is that we talked for 21 hours. The bad news is we got no agreement. So there's really only bad news. So we're really exactly where we started. Okay. Interesting. Donald Trump, who was not at the negotiations but was briefed on them, had to jump in. So during this 21 hours of negotiations, while they're feeding information back to Trump, he surreptitiously retweets this on Truth Social, which is a post from Just the News that says, "The Trump card the president holds if Iran won't bend, a naval blockade." Just an idea from some insane right-wing slop website. 12 hours later, that's the plan. Now, I don't know if he was prepping for the idea with the public or if he got the idea from this, but he retweets this, and then 12 hours later, we're coming out and going, okay, effective immediately, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. I have instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We're going Pirates of the Caribbean on this, bitch. Other countries will be involved in this blockade. Other countries not named. My girlfriend goes to a different school. Other countries not named will be part of this blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully, quote, locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. So the ceasefire thing is just gone. Apparently it's going to last till the end of the 2 weeks, which is on April 22nd. So we have about 10 days left from when I'm recording this. But at the end of that, there's no plan to continue it seems, at this point. And negotiations are not going well. So, by the way, but before I move on, this is a pretty important tweet. The President of the United States, who has been trying desperately to end the blockade of Hormuz, is now responding by doubling the blockade of Hormuz. We are now having a double blockade. So it's a pretty big escalation. I mean, I'll go through what this means, but it's a big deal. And then 30 minutes after posting this incredibly important update on a major geopolitical situation, he posted what happened to Bruce Springsteen and talked about his plastic surgery. This is, again, 23 minutes after that. So I'm glad the seriousness of the situation is being felt. Look, let's talk about it. Let's draw up what's actually happening. So after the attacks on Iran blockaded Hormuz, this 21-mile narrow gap where a massive amount of global shipping goes through. 20% of the world's oil, ton of the world's precursors to fertilizer, natural gas, ton of everything goes to this strait. Iran blockaded it and created this toll booth right here where you could pay them yuan to get your ship to go through. Now, not many ships did this, but a few did. Chinese vessels, few did go through this toll booth. Okay? Donald Trump, in his Don Zoo mode, said break an enemy blockade by blockading their blockade. And now is setting up a second blockade back here so that if you pay the toll and go through, you are going to run into American ships and not be allowed to go through. Thus, the plan being, by the way, there is some strategic merit to this. It's more the optics are horrible, but the strategic merit is that Iran can no longer fund itself by sending its own ships and a few of its ally ships. Now, if the Gulf states can't get through, nobody can get through, is the idea that the United States is saying. And what's interesting is this may be something the United States could pull off without a hitch, if not for one major question. This plan, there is some merit to it, But there's one major question that makes it a huge, dangerous, scary escalation. Now, I went on Chinese social media and I saw that the drawing I made here is being made there. This is on Chinese social media. They're making the same drawing and they're coming to similar questions. And the major question of this situation is, what happens when a Chinese ship tries to exit the strait? If a Chinese ship goes to this toll booth, sails out here with oil headed for China, is the United States going to stop it? Is it going to blow it up? That is a major question. That is a World War III type question. Is it a taco? Is it an escalation? What happens? And especially if China chooses to send military ships to come and escort their boats through a blockade that the President of the United States has publicly endorsed. That is a real Suez crisis moment where either the United States backs down to China and then a massive geopolitical shift is underway, or they don't, and then the escalation could cause World War III. I mean, it's a serious, I'm joking somewhat, but this is serious, okay? So, what does China do? Well, there's one plan I could give them. Third blockade. A third blockade? Put a third one behind? Let's go crazy with this. Wait a minute. That could be based. No, but being seriously, because this might be World War III, I don't want this to be my last clip on the subject. Being seriously, the danger here is now becoming the US and China getting into serious at-odds military conflict. That is now the serious danger of this blockade. Because, first of all, tensions are already rising because China has, this is leaked, but apparently providing Iran with weapons with which to shoot down American planes. And so that is already causing problems. Trump said, if this is real, I threaten 50% tariff, which, by the way, seems minor compared to what that would actually be. But that's the beginning. I mean, these are all like pre-World War I type headlines. These are all escalations that are like, how do they get an off-ramp here? So China's providing weapons to Iran. And also, on the flip side, all that talk that you might have heard about how China doesn't really need the Strait of Hormuz, I think was largely overblown. Yes, China has a good strategic petroleum reserve, but we need to not understate that 37% of all traffic through this thing goes directly to China. They're the largest importer of oil from it. It is extremely important for them economically. They can't just ignore it. They can't just be like, it don't matter, when they were getting it through this toll booth. Again, article from today in the FT, Fortress China shows cracks as Iran war strains supply chains. Energy, chemicals, and helium all under pressure despite Beijing's push to build up economic security. The truth is, this matters, which means the United States blockading it is a direct economic attack on China, which could lead to a military attack. I mean, it reminds me of like when the U.S. blockaded Japan's oil during World War II, which is a direct precursor to Pearl Harbor. Like, these economic cutoffs are always the precursor to what happens in real war. Like, this is like an escalation that requires either a taco or next level. Okay, so again, Xi Jinping in this situation has two options. Number one is use strategic petroleum reserves, which they have plenty, and try to wait it out. And number two is send ships in and escort their vessels through an American blockade, which is, again, a gigantic question mark. I don't know which one. I guess the third option, and I will say this is the possible strategic calculus. The third option, ideally, is that China pressures Iran to negotiate more. That's the hopeful one, I guess, is that's their, to find some common ground in negotiations. Again, I will say, listen, I'm trying to analyze this from where we are now. I don't think I have to say this in every video because I have 10 videos about it. We shouldn't be in this war. This was all free and clear before it started. I'm saying from where we are now, from what's happening now, this is an attempt to, this is not strategically that stupid, a second blockade, but this China question needs to be answered. I don't think leaving it a question mark is a good idea. Because if China sails up and needs their oil because it's important to them, we need to figure that out. So we're finding out. But I have another thing I want to say because this is all happening today, and this question will be answered with more detail this week. We're going to know more. Again, Trump and Xi are supposed to meet in less than a month in Beijing and ideally hash out some of this ever-increasing tension. I don't know if that's going to be a great negotiation, but we'll see. But until then, I have to sort of just follow with question marks and follow up. So I want to talk about something a little different. I want to talk about how the nature of warfare has changed and why this is such a unique situation in the past few hundred years of history. I mean, what's happening here with this blockade from a relatively diminished Iran is so interesting, and why the United States is being so desperate to like change the facts on the ground. Okay, so there's this guy, Eric Prince. He's the CEO of Blackwater. Not a good guy, but certainly knowledgeable on war. And he has a quote that has stuck with me. He said, this is around during the second year of the Ukraine war. Okay? This guy said, the drone is the greatest change in military strategy since Genghis Khan put stirrups on horses. Okay? And this has stuck with me because if you go back to the 1200s, when Genghis Khan figured out that you could put stirrups on horses and your archers could stand in the saddle and shoot while running backwards, there was a completely unstoppable military tactic that allowed them to cover a ton of ground and then retreat when they were attacked and just never be defeated. They were completely ahead of the game. And so this, which allowed the pace of war to go from 3 to 5 miles per hour average, because they'd have to dismount, and now the Mongol army could have 3 horses per soldier, ride one till it was empty, get on the next one, go in the battle, retreat, fight. This drastically changed war and allowed the Mongols to conquer more territory than any army ever has in the history of battle. Okay? They were almost completely undefeated. They were completely dominant. Okay? That has been the nature of the game. And now he is saying the modern version of that is the drone. The drone is changing military so much that everything else has to warp around it. And I want to talk about another thing that's happened for the past 300 years, because that is bumping up against this reality. There's this thing called the Mahan Doctrine, okay? This old fuck right here, I think his name's Alfred Mahan. He was a naval officer in America in the early 1800s. This guy came up with this really brilliant doctrine about power and the seas. He said boats equals OP. Late 1800s. He had the brilliant Mahan Doctrine, which has ruled great powers for 300 years, is basically like you cannot be a great power on planet Earth without having a truly great navy. Because a great navy allows you to control all the great choke points of trade. It allows you to control commerce, and you'll have an inherent economic advantage over anyone else. A great navy is OP. And those who have the great navies kind of get to dictate terms of trade, and everyone else has to listen. Okay? That's the idea. Ever since the British, transitioning into, the Americans, and also the Dutch and others, and then now, okay? Great navies have been the mark of the truly great powers, and they've decided. What's interesting is that has been true right up until right now, where it is starting to bump against the reality of this thing. This thing is changing the facts on the ground, because these choke points, if you wanted to stop a navy before, you would need a navy of your own. And that was very expensive. So it became a game of who has the most money. Whoever has the most money gets the biggest aircraft carriers, and they decide. But now the cost effectiveness of these drones are starting to change things. And it started in the Ukraine war. You started to see headlines like this, where first it was a little bit, and then it was a lot. And suddenly drones were the name of the game in warfare. And you could destroy things like boats at a massive, massive cost and exposure advantage. You were minimizing your exposure, you're minimizing your counterattack, and doing outsized damage. Okay? Asymmetric warfare. You'd have things like a 35,000 drone, and the only way to shoot it down was with a $3.7 million missile. So cost effectively, a swarm of drones was just unbeatable. And it was slowly, and then very quickly changing the reality of war. It was changing how money affected your ability to win combats. It was changing how geography gave you an advantage. It was changing everything. And this is going to sound a little silly, but the more I read into this, the more it reminds me of what happened in the industry I work in. Okay? It reminds me of YouTube and phones. It sounds a little crazy, I know, but legitimately, if you were to flashback 15 years ago, a little more than that, okay? And you wanted to make, I don't know, a show like this to talk to people like you would need to go through a massive intermediary. You need to buy a $6 million studio like this. You need to have TV time on a few limited slots. You would need to be, there's like a few key money-gated powers that controlled it. But the new wave of technology has disintermediated it. It has allowed smaller players outsized advantage. It's kind of changed the facts on the ground, and it has left the legacy ones feeling kind of slow and cumbersome by comparison, to where you could have a day like a few days ago where this massive set and this massive expenses is covering the same piece of news as a channel like this, I don't know who it is, and getting less views. Do you understand? Like it's a weird asymmetry, because I'm just in my fucking bedroom with a basic camera. This is not possible before. If it wasn't for phones and the internet and YouTube, and it disintermediates it in a different way. And that's what's happening. I'm not saying this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm saying this is happening with drones. It is making it so small powers can punch way above their weight class. They don't need a massive navy to restrict trade in the way that a navy did. And it's causing all sorts of weird effects. So, listen, all this is interesting, but you're probably like this woman. If you're an Atrioc viewer, you're probably like this woman in what is probably the worst clip of 2026 so far. You just want to know.
This deadline that President Trump has set, 8 p.m., has threatened to destroy a civilization. How does an investor process that? Is it a bigger upside risk or downside risk?
I love that clip because it's so stupid. Not only is it like, don't be asking that at this time, but it's also like, it's a bigger downside risk. It's like, just think about it. Think about it for 2 seconds. Like, you can answer your own question. Of course, it's a bigger downside risk. Well, and the truth is, that's the case, okay? So here's the deal. We thought there might be a reopening of trade after the first talks of this ceasefire in the Strait of Hormuz. We thought possibly, maybe it's with a toll booth, maybe not, but ships will start to get out. As this second blockade enters, it's becoming more obvious that traffic in the strait is going to be zero until this is resolved, and we don't know when it's going to be resolved. So that starts to bring some very, very uncomfortable questions. The markets have been praying to God above that this ends. Every day, it seems like they're just hoping this is done soon, but it doesn't seem to be done soon. And already we're seeing the knock-on effects, okay? Again, early estimates say that if it remains closed, let's say through the end of April, that is a minus 2.9% to global GDP. Now, that might sound like a nothing number to you. That's equivalent to COVID. That's equivalent to like 2008. Like that is a massive, massive, massive slowdown. Okay? There is a frantic, at first it's slowly, then all at once. There's a frantic race for barrels of oil from all major countries. Europe, fucking Asia, all over. People are desperate to get their hands on barrels of oil as it becomes obvious that there's going to be a scarcity of it. And you're seeing the Philippines has declared a national emergency over the prices. Bangladesh is now rationing fuel. Myanmar is having vehicles not be allowed to drive if they have an odd or an even license plate on opposite days to try and slow down consumption. We're having 4-day work weeks in many Asian countries. We're having school closures to save on fuel. This is all happening now. This is only at the very beginning. This is when people still have reserves, when some had still been trickling through. Countries are going back on coal. Countries that had tried to reduce their coal consumption, Japan, South Korea, Bangladesh, Philippines, Thailand, Pakistan, Germany, Italy, all reopening coal plants. Okay, so environmental damage. We're seeing huge knock-on effects. And I want to sum this up by saying, these costs are not all borne by the actors in the conflict. They're not borne just by, actually, Iran has been getting their oil through, not just by Iran or not just by America. I do not think America should have gotten into this war, just to be very clear. But I do want to present the opinion of the foreign minister of Singapore, who also controls a major strait. This one right here, okay? The most important in the world. Strait of Malacca is even more important than Hormuz. More trade to this. And he basically said, look, I'll let him speak.
The Straits of Malacca, the Straits of Singapore, is in fact another critical choke point. You may be aware that, in fact, if you add up all the maritime oil, crude and refined, you might be surprised that actually more flows through the Straits of Malacca and Singapore than even the Straits of Hormuz.
Okay, he controls a big strait.
If you think about global trade, container trade, there's far more flowing through this place. And the most important geographical fact, which most people are not aware of, the narrowest point in the Straits of Hormuz is 21 nautical miles. Guess what the narrowest point in the Straits of Singapore is? It's less than 2 nautical miles. So do you understand now why we have to take a categorical position that international law and UNCLOS is the constitution of the oceans, and this is a right. Freedom of navigation as a right and not a privilege for ships and planes. And this is of profound importance to Singapore. So to your specific question, yes, I have engaged with the Iranian foreign minister before the war. And yes, I'm sure I will engage him in the near future. But as a matter of principle, and not because we're taking sides, I cannot engage in negotiations for safe passage of ships or negotiate on toll rates, because to do so would be implicitly eroding this legal principle. So again, this is another example of Singapore upholding principle.
I think he makes a powerful point, and I'm generally impressed with the wisdom of Singaporean leaders. I think in the case of this war, I understand. I understand why it's being done. I understand why they're trying to do it to get leverage. But I think as this new reality of drones and geography and straits becomes real, I think we're going to see more stuff like this. I'm not a big believer in how international law can hold anyone anymore, but we're gonna miss that world. The idea where everyone can use these type of straits to pass freely and just do trade was beneficial for almost all countries involved. And if we get to a world where everybody's using their geography and the fact that they can have an outsized advantage with drones to try and cut off trade or charge a toll or a fee at every stage, is going to be catastrophic. The long-term damage, especially for poorer countries caught in the middle, is going to be serious. I'm hopeful that we can find a world where that doesn't happen, but certainly we haven't done a good job getting there. Thanks for watching. That's the update. We'll have more to say as we get further along in this. I do not know how this double blockade will go. We'll definitely have a follow-up video on this as we know more. Thanks for watching. Okay, I hope you found that interesting. I really do think it's like one of the craziest fucking things. I mean, we're just living through some crazy historical times. I genuinely hope this doesn't keep going the way it's going, where every 6 months it just seems like everything's a little more tense. It's very, very wild. It's very fourth turning pilled. Yeah, it definitely feels like frog in a boiling pot, bro. I read an interesting argument in Foreign Policy magazine that maybe benefit the U.S. to make a deal with Iran in which a toll booth is established in U.S. dollars. The U.S. cements the petrodollar for not foreseeable future and does not have to pay Iran. I mean, maybe. I mean, I think, you know, it's unfortunate because the it's not like if the order was reversed, if Iran had started the toll and then the war started, there would be more of a negotiation here. But the truth is that the United States started the war and then they threw up the toll. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like everything was good before. Everything was good before. That's why it's difficult to talk about. But I do think, you know, if the United States were to pull out or whatever and run away from it, I think every week that passed, it would be more obvious that the toll is like a bad action. It's not a good thing for Iran to be doing, and it is an implicit massive drag on trade that hurts everyone around them at their benefit. It's like a mafia protection racket. Like, we have drones, we'll blow up your ships unless you pay us money. It's not a good thing to do, and it hurts. The freedom of navigation for all major waterways has benefited the average person everywhere. It has just been a good thing. But, you know, in this case, they are using it. I understand why they're using it in the war. I do understand it because it's a point of leverage. When you have to use asymmetric things to gain leverage in war. I just get it. I'm not on the side of the Ayatollah, but I get it. But it's something I would hope wouldn't last. Because that world that we are careening towards, where everybody suddenly realizes that they can bomb any ship near them and you can't really do anything about it, even with a navy, is suddenly it's a spooky one. It really chokeholds trade. It goes back to more like sorry, why am I blanking on the word? It's the pre-World War I economic system. Mercantilism. It's mercantilism. It becomes more like mercantilism, bro. And that type of shit guaranteed locks you into more conflict. I do believe in the idea that if trade doesn't cross borders, soldiers will. I believe that. I think that's a true thing. I think it has been a huge reducer of global conflict is these massive trade routes between most major countries. Anyway, I am glad you guys enjoyed that. It was fun to put together. Why did countries not invest more in pipelines as insurance against something like this happening? They're doing that now. So there is a pipeline. There is a pipeline, an east-west pipeline right here. I'll give you a picture. From Saudi Arabia. This is a very low-quality image, but you'll get the gist. They can also get it by drones, by the way, but there is a pipeline that allows you to get oil from here in the Persian Gulf out here to the Red Sea. The problem is this pipeline cannot accommodate the amount of oil that's out here. There's so much and only a little bit can fit through. They are planning right now to expand the shit out of this. There's also another pipeline or something going right here. Everyone is trying to not let this happen again, okay? Because all these countries have realized they're so fucking dependent on Iran letting them through the Strait of Hormuz. From now and for forever, it seems like, because of drones. So they're all trying to find ways around it, but it's just very difficult to do because sea travel is so much cheaper. There's no real easy way to replace getting on a boat and sailing freely. Just not being able to do that is, you know, so. And again, yeah, I got to say, I don't know if you guys remember, but like, maybe I actually might have a video about this. Hold up. This might be a great per Atrioc. Okay, give me 1 second. How do I search my own name in Discord? How do you search how do you search from a user? From dot? Not working. Did I never type it here? Hold up. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put some Kush up in it. Oh, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. I think I found it. I think I found it. Yeah. Okay, look. Look at this. This is from a year ago, by the way. March 2025. Just to show that I was on the ball. Find someone else talking about this shit from March 25. Or not Iran will ever, because they're right here, right? They have this whole shoreline. If they mined up or did any kind of blocking to this strait, like $1.6 billion of oil goes through this every day. All of Saudi Arabia sends their oil out through this way. Like if they block this, it'll cause a doubling of global oil price and possibly like all out war. I mean, it would be like Kuwait sends their oil out through this, Qatar sends their oil out through this. This is a very, that's March 25, bro. Find someone on fucking Twitch who even said Strait of Hormuz before all this shit happened. Let alone talked about oil prices rising in the... Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Important strait. And they've never done it, by the way, for forever. Northern Lion, probably. But he did it while playing a fucking Flash game. No, but honestly, that was the wrong clip. That's a cool thing to talk about, but I was not glazing myself on that. I was basically saying that it's similar to what's happening in Yemen at the time. At the time, the Houthis were causing damage to ships in the Red Sea, but the Houthis are seriously underfunded and didn't have the drone tech. They had way less to work with. So, like, understand that, like, the Gulf of Aden Calvin and this choke point is now even more under threat as drone tech evolves. This can be blockaded. This can be blockaded. This can be blockaded. Malacca can be blockaded. Panama can be blockaded. All these things starting to become like massive toll booths / choke points / danger zones where even small rogue groups can shut down global trade. It's starting to get risky. Is this like putting Quincy in a 3-3-2 dart tower at the first intersection in Monkey Meadow? It's exactly like that. That is extremely astute. Yeah, 100%. There's probably no better way to put it. That's absolutely brilliant. Brilliant deduction. If Trump is only stopping ships from Iranian ports, shouldn't the supply chains be less effective since the others would be allowed? Trump said this is an all or nothing blockade. No ships are allowed through. But even if what you were saying was the way they tried to go it, you have to understand that because it is a double blockade, think about it. The only ships getting through here are the ones Iran allows. The only ships getting through here are the ones America allows, and America won't allow the ones that go through here. So you understand that no combo, it covers all ships. Nobody will get through. So the only real question is, the only one clouded enough to try and get through this is China's friends with Iran, can pay in yuan, gets out here, and then I don't know if America, I mean, we're going to see if there's a taco or not. Is America legitimately going to blow up a Chinese oil ship that is sailing through? Which would be, it's a crazy situation. So that's what we find ourselves in. That's World War III, by the way. If that happened, that is World War III. Wild. Do you think this will boost global electric integration? Yeah, I mean, a lot of countries are trying to electrify as a way of reducing their dependence on this. But I think to be clear, that's a long-term plan. And in the short term, they're mostly firing up coal plants. Like it's all hands on deck, any energy. It's not like this is, you can't just turn that shit on. And realistically, that's not realistically. They're just paying through the nose for more oil. The price of oil is just skyrocketing. I mean, if this stays closed with a double fucking blockade, we're gonna have $200 a barrel oil. insane. I mean, it's gonna be a real shock to the system. I'm uncertain about these uncertain times. Mm, 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 mm. Instead of bombing the Ayatollah, we should have just promised him early access to GTA 6. They wouldn't believe it. They wouldn't believe it, bro. They wouldn't believe it. That would be the most obvious cap. Jay Clurin, thank you for the 9 months. All right, guys. I did read this. Great article. Apparently, this is going to sound crazy, you guys. Apparently, after talking to everyone he's worked with for decades, Sam Altman is a bit of a liar. What? This might blow your mind, but apparently he lies a lot and is not a treat to work with. That doesn't sound like the Sammy Altman I know. But I might do a full clip on that, so let me hold. I think I want to put some slides together on all the claims. Atrioc, I have a buddy I played League with back in the day. I think he can make some calls for us and solve this whole thing if I ask him nicely. You played League with MBS? Yeah, call him up, bro. Call him up. Tell him to get this shit figured out. Honest question. Would you have Sam Altman on the pod if he asked? Yeah. Yeah, of course. It would be an easy time to ask some serious questions. We'd have one. No fucking shit. We almost had, I'll just say it, we almost had Zuckerberg. But he had, well, I'm not going to rule it out. It might still happen. But he had some restrictions that we would not agree to on questions. Not that, and again, I'm not going to go on there and try and form a fucking clip. I think that's the lamest way to interview. But I will ask, there's some questions I want to ask. No, I'm not joking. I'm not joking. And technically it might still happen. But as of now, we passed. I've recommended your econ videos to my dad and my grandpa. I acknowledge not your target audience, but they can't get past the channel name. Have you ever considered changing it to something more traditional? Just curious. No. No, I haven't. Not even a little bit, bro. It's big A or bust. Tell your fucking unks to keep up with the times. How are we feeling for, let's get one normal question, not about the world. How are we feeling about the Lakers for a chip this season? Great question. Here's what's going to happen. I've already planned it out. So you guys know that the Lakers lost their 2 best players to injury and to the fact that the Oklahoma City Thunder are dangerous fucking cheats who don't play by the rules. Okay? Here's what's going to happen. First round of the playoffs starts in like a week. It's going to be, I think, Lakers versus Timberwolves. Bronny James is going to score 40 back to back to back. It's going to be is playing Rockets? Wait, Lakers 4th? Oh, they are 4th. Wait, the Nuggets won their game. All right, we're playing the Rockets. Oh, perfect. Okay? Bronny James and his father, LeBron James, are going to do combined father-son alley-oops passes, plays of that nature. They're going to score 40 apiece. They're going to win this series. Halfway through, Kevin Durant is going to take out his phone mid-game and start shit-talking all of his own teammates. At which point, they're going to pick him up and they're going to throw him into the garbage bin, losing their best scorer. Okay? The Rockets will lose. Guaranteed. At that point, we'll go to round 2, where the Lakers are going to face, I don't know, OKC or the Spurs. One of those. It's going to seem bad because they're a way better team. But then they're going to lose game 1. They're going to lose game 2. And then game 3 is going to be at home. And on that game, parachuting in from the open stadium roof is going to be Luka Doncic from Europe, fresh full of stem cells. He's going to be fucking ripped, absolutely shredded, not an ounce of fat on him. He's going to land in the court, catch the pass from Bronny, windmill slam dunk it and say, I'm home, baby. Okay? At which point, Luka's going to drop 84. Actually, he's going to drop 82. And he's going to be about to shoot the last one, but he's going to put it down in respect for Bam Adebayo. Because he doesn't want to pass Bam's legacy. So he's going to stop at 82, out of respect for Bam. Okay? Real recognize real. But then they're going to win. They're going to win that game. They're going to turn it around. They're going to sweep the fucking Thunder into the dustbin of history. And they're going to go on, win the fucking Western Conference Finals against the Spurs. And they're going to win the fucking championship against the Celtics. Mark it now. Mark this clip. It's going to happen exactly how I said. Okay? And then, right as Luka passes to Luke Kennard for the final game-winning 3 in Game 7 of the Grand Finals, World War III starts. And no one has a chance to celebrate because World War III has begun. And the Chinese missiles hit the West Coast, bro. We're fucking... And everyone gets drafted in here. You see the draft is back? No, it's not back, but it's a little bit of overhyped headline, but they are, because it was already, you had to register, but now it's like mandatory registration and they're checking. And what was the age again? It's like, it's like 25. It's eligible males 18 to 25 are automatically registered for the U.S. military draft starting December 2026. Now they're supposed to do it themselves, so it's not a massive change in the rules. But now it's automatic. So if you're 18 to 25, put your hand up. World War III is calling your name. Automatic draft registration. Can't believe we're going to have an army filled with people that fucking don't remember 9/11. We're going to have an army full of fucking people who grew up on Wii Sports, bro. It's wild, bro. It's fucking wild. The meme military. All right, guys. That's my Sunday stream, I think. Do I really have more? I don't think so. I could react to something. Any interesting videos to watch? It is Get Smarter Sundays, after all. GSS. Get Smarter Sundays. Folks. If you have an interesting video, you just pop that shit right into chat. And it shows up here. And then we watch it and learn something. I'm part of Get Smarter Sundays. GSS. Ancient Rome and the American Revolution. America's job market is collapsing. This shit's like Atrioc bait, bro. I feel like everyone's making videos like this now. Why the Honda Fit is the greatest car ever made? Great car. Look at that. Just look at that power. It's just a sexy vehicle. You know what I'm saying? It just screams class. If you see a BMW or an Aston Martin, it's like ugly. You know, it looks like shit. But you see a Honda Fit coming down the road, you're like, holy fuck, dude. That is sexy. That is a real beast of a machine. Is it even street legal? I know it looks like it's a fucking souped up racer from Tokyo Drift, but actually it is street legal. Listen to that growl, dude. It's like a hungry lion. Ready to devour the open road, dude. Holy fuck. The Honda Fit is a monster.
So another awesome thing about the Honda Fit is its chassis. Now, the chassis is built to be very soft at the top and very rigid in the bottom.
Dude, my Honda Fit is beat to shit. Like, this part right here is coming off. It's like popping out. I got like a gash right here. My fucking car is beat. Everyone makes fun of me, bro. They're like, don't you have any money? But let me tell you something. I don't get robbed in LA. Nobody breaks my window. Nobody looks in my fucking car. That's called camouflage in plain sight. That's what you drove Steve Eisman in? Yup. Steve Eisman jumped in my fucking Honda Fit, and I had to clean the basketball and the basketball shorts off of the seat for him. As I drove him to his podcast meeting. Okay. Let's see. What else do we have? What else do we have? The easiest way to make the world smarter? Iodine. Okay. Mr. Beast is what Marx warned us about. I don't know about that, bro. I don't know about that. Charlie Kirk's death explained in Minecraft. Really not necessary. Really not necessary. Why you should watch One Piece by Ludwig. A day in the life of a Pokemon card scalper. Why premium economy is a terrible deal. The cruise industry's arms race. That could be interesting. That could be interesting. Why American companies usually fail in Europe. Yeah, I'm sure Walmart failed in Europe, bro. They don't want that. But like the tech companies did pretty well. The peak of Chinese internet war, the most famous killing in history, Caesar. That could be interesting, although we kind of know about it. Like Zootopia 2 movie review, 15 minutes long, 194 view. And this guy's doing the absolute cinema pose. I don't know, I told you, but they fucking love Zootopia 2 in China. They love it. They go crazy for it. Zootopia 2 shit everywhere. I gotta reload it, I think. I mean, I could watch this, but it's just, this is How Money Works' other channel. And it's about how Ronald Reagan is bad. Like, I just feel like I'm, I feel like I'm a horse clicking the salt lick video. It's just so, it's so up my alley, dude. I need to like branch out. Every Star Wars era explained in 21 minutes. Did I see all these videos popping up? They're all, I just want you guys to know, these are all AI generated. If you see these slot videos, they're all AI. They all have the same fucking format. The script is AI, the voiceover's AI, the fucking thumbnail's AI, bro. This shit's popping up everywhere. They all have some kind of you know, people get this recommended on my channel. It's like the the gorilla explains or the monkey explains economics. That's all AI, bro. We gotta fucking let this slop die. There's so much of it. Greece is over. How a Minecraft hedge fund made a $30,000 accounting. We're making fucking Minecraft economics videos. Destroying a world that doesn't exist. Based on what I'm seeing on YouTube, there is a class of younger viewer, probably people in this chat, some of you, who can only engage with historical or philosophical subjects if it's filtered through Minecraft. And so there's this huge burgeoning industry of like art, but like modern movies that tell a story and have themes, but only through Minecraft. It's so strange. And so I'm not saying there's a problem necessarily. Well, I do think that there's some problem in there, but it's so interesting. Could Jaime Lannister save King's Landing from the Killdozer? Probably not. Probably not. None of these are really popping for me, dude. I'm trying to find something that really... What killed Rome's democracy? And it was gangs? That could be interesting. Why the Soviet Union was obsessed with corn? I guess that's interesting. 4 days ago, massive Microsoft divorce that will bankrupt OpenAI. That could be interesting. I could watch that. I could watch that. It's slop. I don't know if I think this has been around for a while. I don't know if that's just AI. But all right. The Los Angeles Water Wars. Oh shit! The history of Spyro world records from Summoning Salt. Wait, that's not really Get Smarter, but that's kind of peak, bro. What time is it? Fuck it, I do want to watch that. That goes crazy. Fuck it, I want to watch it.
Spyro is a game that millions around the world grew up playing. The game simply radiates nostalgia, with its mystical worlds and creative levels. But today, I want to take you back to just...
See, when I was a kid, I had an N64 and my friends had PlayStations. And I remember the only game, well, not the only game, but one of the ones I was most jealous of was Spyro. And I don't even think Spyro is that great of a game, honestly, but it was just so cool looking and so different. And I really wanted to play it bad.
3 months after its original release. In December 1998, Next Generation magazine interviewed the president of Universal Interactive, a man named Mark Cerny. Mark's company helped develop Spyro, and he was asked several typical questions about designing the game. But there was something very interesting that he revealed in this interview. Mark Cerny, the president of the company that made
Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada, also developed Spyro? That is crazy. The world is smaller than you think, bro. How wild. What a side quest life he's had.
Spyro completed the first ever speedrun of the game. Mark said the following: "I've reached and beaten Nasty Nork in 105 minutes. If anyone can beat that, please email me your time." Well, Mark, I hope that you're able to see this video, because even though it took more than 10 years to get going, your game eventually spawned a massive speedrunning scene. And although you set the first world record, future players broke the game apart like nobody could have imagined.
Okay.
This is the history of how they did it.
Peak. New music? Somebody's all mixing it up? Okay.
And now a word from this video's sponsor, Rocket Money.
Oh!
Now, true story, a few months ago,
We love Rocket Money, don't we, folks? Check out rocketmoney.com/summoning-salt. And if maybe you want to check out rocketmoney.com/Atrioc, you could also do that.
it's rocketmoney.com/summoning-salt. Alright, so after the GOAT Mark Cerny, there wasn't much Spyro speedrun activity over the next decade. This isn't too surprising, since speedrunning as a whole was an obscure hobby at the time. However, this changed in 2010 with the emergence of Speed Demos Archive. SDA was a website that accepted and verified high-quality speedruns, where community members could gather to discuss their runs.
I love forums.
Spyro was a popular topic in the early days of SDA. There were lots of posts talking about theoretical speedruns, how you'd have to route everything out. Sometimes, forum goers would casually mention how fast they beat the game, after routing a bit and doing an attempt to go fast. A couple claims from Epic Fail 7 beat Mark Cerny's time. Then, there was a speedrunning tournament where the finals involved racing to complete Spyro 1. 2 runners faced off, but the only one to finish was a speedrunner named Luke RF44.
Okay.
It's unclear if his time of 1 hour, 17 minutes, and 7 seconds was officially a world record. Finally, in June 2010, a group of SDA members were trying to figure out the fastest route through the game. One runner, named Laponnier36, did a test run to see what sort of time he could get. His 1:13.09 was good, but had plenty of mistakes, self-admitted by Laponnier. It was really just practice to see if his run was viable and how fast it could be. In the comments section of his run was a post by someone named Cotot, who had these amazing words for Laponnier. To be perfectly honest with you, I think I can easily beat your time with no practice whatsoever. You really need to get your act together.
Dude, that is the fucking summation of uploading on YouTube. You could upload to 20 people and get 3 total comments, and one of them's gonna be a dipshit. You can't hide from annoying fucking bad faith comments, bro.
Oh well, you've inspired me to beat you now, so expect an upload. This is one of the best YouTube comments I've ever read. And perhaps the best part about it, Cotot actually backed up his claim.
Oh shit!
Later that year, Cotot submitted his speedrun of Spyro to SDA. He was faster than Laponnier by nearly 12 minutes.
Oh my god.
He constructed a brilliant...
Oh my god, watching someone speedrun saying you could beat it and then crushing 12 minutes off it is actually fucking crazy. That's actually walking the walk.
...route through the game, which he wrote about in great detail in the run comments on SDA. So,
definitely
a quick
practiced,
overview
though.
for those who are new to Spyro. Throughout the entire game, you're trying to collect gems, rescue dragons, and recover dragon eggs. These are scattered throughout each of the game's 5 worlds. Each world contains a home world, 3 main levels, a flight level, and a boss level. You can choose which to play and which to skip, but to move to the next world, you must reach a certain amount of dragons, gems, or eggs. So, Cotot had to figure out which levels he wanted to enter, which he wanted to skip, and the optimal route for collecting just enough of each item to move through the game. By the end, you need to collect 6,000 gems, 50 dragons, and 5 eggs, with different checkpoints earlier to keep progressing through the game. The most important part is the gems. There's so many options.
Wait, did this game actually suck ass? Is this game like Donkey Kong 64 with a massive collectathon? I never played it. I only watched people play it and thought it looked so cool as a kid. I never played it.
With literally thousands to collect across the levels and the homeworlds. To give you an idea of Cotot's strategy, let's look at how he handled the first world, Artisans.
Okay.
He rescued 3 dragons in the homeworld, then completed the flight level, which gives 300 gems. He then entered his first main level, Town Square, and collected 4 dragons, an egg, and just over 100 gems. Katote then entered the level Stone Hill, where he quickly got 3 more dragons to reach 10. This was enough to move to the next world, but instead of exiting the level, he stayed a while longer,
Kept farming.
collecting more gems and rescuing an 11th dragon.
Okay, beast.
This is because it's often faster to collect all dragons in a level rather than entering new levels. You need 50 dragons eventually anyway, so might as well collect more in one place.
Yep.
He even collected 1 more dragon in the home world before finally moving to the Peacekeepers world.
Kinda like Stars
with
in
12
Mario?
dragons, 1 egg, and 460 gems. Katote spent much more time in Peacekeepers than Artisans, as there's more gems and dragons to collect. He played all levels and eventually left Peacekeepers with 27 dragons, 2 eggs, and 1,735 gems.
Okay.
Still a ways to go. Next up was Magic Crafters. Katote said this world contained his worst level of the run, Wizard Peak. He got unnecessarily
Fucking
hit a
Wizard
few
Peak, dude.
times, died once, and was sloppy collecting gems. But he did collect a lot of gems in this level and the rest of the world. He reached the 5 eggs he needed, and left the world with 41 dragons and 3,544 gems.
Okay.
The next world was Beastmakers.
He's kinda behind on
It contains
gems.
the infamous level Treetops, which many players struggled with as a kid. At one point, Katote had to do a series of supercharges and then a glide to just barely make it over to an island, which contained both a dragon and about 100 gems. He couldn't afford to skip it, and he died once trying,
doesn't
but
make
he
it.
did reach it on the second try.
Okay.
Later in the level, he rescued another dragon and got 300 more gems. By the time Katote finished Beastmakers, he'd gotten his 50th and final dragon. Now it was time for Dreamweavers, where he could focus solely on collecting gems.
Okay.
Katote entered Haunted Towers, Icy Flight, and the boss level for gems. Once he defeated Jacques, he reached 6,000. After 57.5 minutes, Katote had collected everything needed to finish
That's
the game.
super fast.
It was time to head to Nasty's world.
I guess it's slow
This
based on
world
the video,
contains
but
2 main levels, Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor, and then the final fight with Nasty Nork. Katote just had to avoid any big mistakes. Both main levels contain a myriad of enemies, but he played well, never dying and taking just a few hits. Finally, in Nasty Nork, Katote chased down the thieves for the 2 keys, chased Nasty Nork himself, and platformed to the end. Game complete in 1 hour.
I gotta be honest, it's a testament to Nintendo and their branding that we know Bowser a lot more than we know Nasty Nork. Because I've never heard this motherfucker in my life, dude.
1 minute and 46 seconds. In the run description, Katote pointed out that he could have picked up more gems in the early worlds where the game is the easiest. Instead,
Nasty Nork
he
the
had
goat.
balanced it more through the game, collecting the most in the middle worlds. His run went on SDA and was recognized as the world record.
Beast.
Many site members congratulated him, as this was by far the best speedrun the game had ever seen. But as good as it was, it didn't last very long. Lots of speedrunners were interested in Spyro, and Katote's run just gave them more motivation to try. One such runner was Crash 4. 1596. We'll just call him Crash. At the very end of 2010, Crash beat Katote's run by 5 minutes, partially because of the version of the game he played. Crash played on NTSC, while Katote played on PAL. PAL has a slower frame rate and load times.
Bro, is there ever a game where PAL's the better speedrunning game? We've watched a lot of Summoning Salts, and the PAL version is always slower. What, are we just nerfing Europeans at the fucking source code level?
And although the developers tried to compensate by making Spyro run faster, it's still 1 to 2 minutes slower than NTSC, so Crash had a built-in advantage.
As we should.
But that wasn't all that Crash did to save time. It was all about the routing. Crash front-loaded his gems, collecting more in the first 2 worlds, which let him skip things in the rest of the game. He was able to spend far less time in the levels High Caves, Wizard Peak, Treetops, and Metalhead.
Okay.
He didn't even bother entering Haunted Towers and Dreamweavers. This all added up to multiple minutes of time saved, leading to a final time of 56:08. And Crash wasn't done. A month later, he beat his record in a tournament race with a 55-35.
World record in a race,
And a
beast.
few months later, he did it again with a 54-44, specifically playing on POW so that Kotot could compete with him. This time, he front-loaded his gems even more,
damn, get fucked.
collecting an extra 300 in Beastmakers so he could skip the level Jacques in Dreamweavers. Clearly,
That's
a
Giga Chad.
trend was being set. Collect more gems early so you can skip levels later. Over the next few months, Crash made posts on task videos and SDA that offhandedly mentioned new times he'd set on Spyro 1. 54:23, and then a time in the 51-minute range.
No way.
It's possible there were more records in between, but it seems like
I don't
Crash
believe
didn't
it.
bother recording these runs because he felt he could do better. He was pulling away with the Spyro 1 record. Then, in late 2011, another top-level runner emerged. A player named Surreal.
Ooh.
He'd been a speedrunner for a while,
Finally, a
and since
good
Spyro
username.
was a childhood game for him, he decided to give it a try. And perhaps more than any runner before him, Surreal did an enormous amount of research into his route. Rather than building on past runs, he essentially started from scratch and tried to create the best route possible. He developed a concept called the gem-to-time ratio. It's a way to figure out which gems are the most time efficient to collect.
There's always the story of speedrunning. Is like in the first wave, they're cutting off 10 minutes at a time. And then the autists show up. And they start fucking hyper optimizing. And then the route becomes fixed. And then it's down to like fucking milliseconds.
For instance, if I can collect 10 gems over there,
spreadsheeters.
but it takes 4 seconds, the gem-to-time ratio would be 2.5.
Yup.
Surreal tracked this through the entire run and mapped out what he felt was the optimal route for collecting gems. Surreal regularly raced on speedruns live and set several world records in the process.
Beast.
But he also streamed to Justin.tv, and on March 21st, 2012, he set a new record on stream with video that has survived to this day. This was
incredible.
a huge improvement over the last run with video footage, of 48:58. How did Surreal save nearly 6 minutes? Well, 2 minutes came from NTSC versus PAL. The remaining 4 were because Surreal was built differently. He demonstrated cleaner movement throughout the whole game, which allowed him to pick up time in level after level.
Okay.
He shifted his gems around so that by the time he made it to Dreamweavers, he barely had any to collect.
Oh, nice.
He just picked up a couple hundred in Jacques, then was off to Nasty's world. In Nork Cove, he went for a trick called a wall glide to skip a chunk of the level. While gliding, you can angle Spyro into an inclined surface, and it'll maintain his height or give him more height. Then, by landing in the water repeatedly, you can just barely make it to the ledge. It was first used in a task by Leponier, and Surreal implemented it in his run.
So you don't die in the water? I
a
don't
new
get it.
gem route, new tricks, better gameplay, and a 48:58, miles ahead of anybody else playing Spyro. And the best part?
Oh, hitting the water counts as taking 1 point of damage. Okay. You die in 3 jumps in the water, he makes 2. I see.
Surreal was just getting started.
Ooh. Music's the best part of these videos, bro.
Yes, dude.
Music over old gameplay
It's not
footage.
sub 48, but that's pretty good.
Surreal was Spyro's first
love
great
that.
speedrunner. Throughout 2012, he lowered the any percent record over and over, streaming all of it live to his fans on Twitch. Most of his videos survived, and it's fascinating to see his gameplay evolve. Starting with his 45-46, Surreal radically changed his gem route yet again. It had long been known that the flight level in Dreamweavers was faster than the one in Artisans by about 15 seconds. However, guards are blocking the Dreamweaver's flight level, and you normally have to use the laser cannon to defeat them.
Okay.
But Surreal found that while rising from a jump, your momentum is preserved after getting hit, so you can get extra height and glide over the guards. This meant Surreal could switch around which flight level he played, and spend barely any time in Artisans at all. With a new route, Surreal kept the records coming. And as he did, he became more and more nonchalant.
I don't understand. That's such a bad
Finally, after more than a year of record improvements, Surreal got the run he was looking for on November 1st, 2012. A record filled with all the new tricks from the past several months.
Take me back, dude. 2012?
In Town Square, he did a tricky jump where he angled Spyro out to the side, then back toward the ledge, and finally charged to reach solid ground. Runners call it a ledge grind, and it allowed him to reach the upper area without having to go all the way around. Just before entering Crystal Flight in Magic Crafters, Surreal performed a trick called Boldar Skip. Normally when you rescue a dragon, a cutscene plays before you're able to move again. One potential exception is the dragon Boldar. By manipulating the camera away from him, then entering Crystal Flight from the opposite side, you can contact Boldar just before truly entering the level and be credited with rescuing him. No cutscene necessary. In Treetops, Surreal repeatedly used the supercharge ramps to reach islands early, tricks that a casual player wouldn't even think of. All these tricks and more led to a strong 44.08, capping off a streak of 11 straight records from Surreal. He submitted the run to SDA and received positive feedback from both the site verifiers and his peers. Small mistakes made a 43-minute run seem possible, but all agreed that this was an amazing world record. By early 2013, Spyro was one of the fastest growing speed games in the world. Speedrunning as a whole was quite small, but compared to other popular games, Spyro 1 was thriving. So much so that just a few months after his 44.08, Surreal already had 2 new competitors. The first was a player named Saboom. Saboom regularly raced Surreal in 2012, and while Surreal set the records, Saboom improved just behind him. Well, in January 2013, Saboom broke through and got the first 43 in Spyro history. Although it was streamed live to his Twitch account, the footage has since disappeared and can't be viewed today. This was the first time in over a year that Surreal wasn't the record holder. Unsatisfied with this development, he began attempts to take back the record, and it only took him a few days. He cleaned up some mistakes from his 44.08 and beat Saboom by 2 seconds, with a casual "guess I should highlight this" in the description. Surreal still had a bit of an advantage over Saboom, but I mentioned he had 2 competitors.
Who's the other one?
One was Saboom, and the other was BJ. BJ is an interesting case. While Saboom clearly raced alongside Surreal and improved, BJ was more on his own, yet he improved fast. In December 2012, his personal best was over an hour. By February, he had a low 44. I don't know how he did it, but in a matter of weeks, BJ went from a noob to a world record contender. But one lesson he had to learn: it's one thing to be a contender, and it's another thing to actually break a record. On March 7th, 2013, BJ was a bit behind the record going into Beastmakers, but an excellent world pushed him up to essentially tied. Coming down the home stretch, he had only Dreamweaver's and Nasty's world remaining. He played Icy Flight, but needed a lot of gems in Jacques to reach 6,000.
Just give me all the gems.
As a virgin, that's
what I need right now.
I think he's got a cool
BJ collected some gems, then glided across this gap. On the other side was a group of armored horrors. All you have to do is jump up and charge them.
It feels like the enemies in this game are not much of a threat, though. It feels like they just fucking breeze past them. Like, the things that are hard aren't the enemies.
What?
Oh! Fucking good timing.
I'm sorry for blowing you guys' ears out, but what just happened?
Fucking timing.
He bonked, and the enemy knocked him off.
Wow, get on
over. No matter. A month later, he had an even better chance. BJ kept it close with the record through Beastmakers, then pulled ahead in Dreamweavers. He was on pace for a 43.4x with just 3 levels to go. Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor both went fine. Now it was time for Nasty Nork. Here at the start, there are 2 thieves holding keys that you must catch,
we know about the keys,
one after
bro.
the other. It's very important to catch them as soon as you see them. If you miss, you have to chase them down. BJ just had to make sure they didn't slip by him.
That's one. Oh, get fucked!
It's all over. GG.
This kept happening. It was starting to get in his head. So many world record chances that died late. Some of them were ahead of the record by several seconds. It's easy to start convincing yourself that you can't do it when this happens. But BJ stuck with it, and finally on April 16th, he finished off a 43:49.
I freaking did it. It's all over, dude. I did it. It's all over. Oh my god.
Still, BJ felt
Let's
this
go,
was far from his best
BJ.
run. It was slower than
I
many of the
freaking did
record
it.
paces he'd had
Sloppy? Really? You're gonna say sloppy, BJ?
in the past couple months,
Come
largely
on, it's
thanks to
crass.
the slow magic crafters. In fact, earlier in this run, after making the mistakes, BJ admitted he wouldn't be happy with this run if it finished as the record.
Because if this ended up being world record, like, I'd be like ashamed, and I'd have to improve it anyways.
So there was still work to do. Later in April, BJ and Surreal both played more any percent runs, trying for a faster time that would satisfy them. And it didn't take long to see results. Surreal struck first with a 43:43, then a week later, BJ countered with a big 43:27. This time, the run description looked different. BJ said, "This is the run that I've wanted for so long." And it was. He saved time in every world except for Peacekeepers. Sub 43:30 was now a reality. Early 2013 was a period of rapid growth for Spyro speedrunning. Lots of new world records, set by many new high-level runners. Surreal,
13, 14, those are like the
and
big
BJ all
speedrunning
emerged
Twitch
onto the
years.
scene quickly, and were all record contenders. But there's still one more runner I need to introduce, who started just a bit later than the other three. His name is Tuval.
Tuval? French?
Tuval had a similar origin to BJ. He began in 2013, lowered his time in the first few months, and gradually became a record contender. He'd go on to be an incredibly prolific speedrunner, most well known for discovering Gelato Beach Skip in Super Mario Sunshine. But back in 2013, he was just starting out, trying to beat the any percent world record in Spyro. After several months of lowering his personal best, on May 18th, 2013, Tuval tied the world record almost to the frame.
Tied it?
Alright. Finally, I got a good run.
But it didn't make sense. Tuval's movement seemed better, and he made fewer mistakes. Why wasn't he faster?
Is he pal?
Well, one day they figured it out. Tuval was from the UK and didn't have access to an NTSC console, so he played on emulator, which has slower load times. Tuval had tied the world record despite playing at a 30-second disadvantage.
Oh shit! That's the EU tax, bro. You gotta pay it.
Every time he rescued a dragon, every time he entered or exited a level, Tuval lost a...
You taxed RT, so in response, we're taxing your speedrunners. So it's only fair. Fair's fair, bro. That's how it goes.
Small amount of time. But he didn't care. He wanted the record, and nothing was going to stop him. To make up for the load difference, Tuval spent a lot of time routing the game. In fact, he enjoyed routing more than actually speedrunning.
Yeah,
he tried to find the very best gems to collect, and while it wasn't hugely different from what other runners did, he saved time around the margins, partially canceling out the load differences. By mid-2013, BJ and Surreal had stepped back from running the game, leaving Saboom and Tuval as the top two active runners. That summer, they took turns lowering the record further, eventually getting under 43 minutes. Videos for most of these runs were deleted. Evidence of their existence is scattered across the internet, but we know very little about the runs themselves. One thing we do know is that Saboom used a slower route than Tuval. He did the slowest flight level, Sunny Flight, in Artisans, and entered Terrace Village for a couple dragons. Since Saboom played on console, he likely would have been able to pull away from Tuval, but since he stuck to this slower route, it gave Tuval a chance to compete with him.
I see.
And compete they sure did. By the time we finally have our next run with video, these two guys had battled and taken the record almost a full minute lower, a 42:43 by Tuval. The gem route had totally changed since the last record. Tuval skipped the boss level Dr. Shemp in Peacekeepers, since it takes a while and doesn't have very many gems.
Okay.
This saved a couple minutes, but left him with a 300 gem deficit, which he gradually made up over the next couple worlds. Beyond that, the time saves came from cleaner execution. Even a few seconds in each world can really add up. But despite the improvements, there were still areas that Tuval messed up, so he and Saboom weren't nearly done. Through the rest of 2013, they continued to compete with each other, and the records kept coming.
There we go. Didn't choke.
You gotta celebrate more if you get a world record. That's my one rule for Speedrunners.
There it is.
It's a big deal. Celebrate.
It's the 41-41, huh?
41?
By August, the time was down to a 41:18 by Saboom. Following the pattern, it would now be Tuval's turn to take the record back. But I mentioned before that Tuval is an amazing glitch hunter. And well, in August, he made perhaps the greatest discovery in Spyro's history: Twilight Harbor Skip.
Okay.
At the end of the game is Nasty's world, with 3 levels: Nork Cove, Twilight Harbor, and Nasty Nork. Once you beat Nork Cove, the dragon head for Twilight Harbor opens up. Beat that level, and Nasty Nork opens up. But apparently, the developers were in a rush when making the end of the game, because although the top of the Twilight Harbor dragon is solid, the Nasty Nork dragon has no collision at the top. This means if you can somehow get up there, you can enter Nasty Nork even if the dragon head is closed. The developers knew this and decided it was okay, because despite monumental effort, they couldn't find a way to get on top and get through. For 15 years, that system worked just fine, until Tuval came along. In August 2013, he uploaded a YouTube video called Nasty Nork Early. By standing on the open Nork Cove head, then jumping out of a flop using a technique called a boosted skitter jump, Tuval barely made it to the top where there's no collision, and through to enter Nasty Nork. It meant he skipped playing Twilight Harbor entirely, and saved nearly a full minute on the speedrun.
That's awesome.
Unfortunately, this was extremely difficult. It felt random as to how much height you got from your jump, and overall wasn't well understood. But it was clearly possible, and saved an enormous amount of time. So top runners had to go for it. They'd consistently get runs 40 minutes deep, then lose almost all of them to this one trick. It was exhausting.
Dude, that sucks.
The few months after Twilight Harbor Skip's discovery is another fuzzy period in Spyro's history. We know that Tuval got a 41:16 in September 2013, but from October through the following January, the only known record set was a 40:37 by Saboom. It's very likely that other records were set around this time, especially because of the new skip, but there's no trace of anything. One thing we do know for sure, Twilight Harbor Skip was a massive pain. Saboom and Tuval regularly got runs deep, then had to get this near impossible trick under pressure. In the ass. It was terrible. So, Tuval looked at the setup. The glitch hunter in him went into overdrive, and he said, "I know how to fix this. We need to make Twilight Harbor Skip even harder."
Okay. Alright.
The current route in Nasty's world was to rescue the dragon, play Nork Cove, then jump from the open Twilight Harbor head directly to Nasty Nork, skipping the level. What would be really great was if you could skip all of this and go straight to Nasty Nork from the start.
That would be so sick.
Well, in October 2013, Tuval found a method to do just that. But oh boy, did it make Twilight Harbor Skip look like a walk in the park. See this? This is a rat, which you can kill to replenish health. Not too interesting, unless you ask Tuval. He found that if you lure the rat to the right position, charge jump to kill it, and then race to the corner before it gets there, it can land on you and eject you into the air. You can then land on top of Nork Cove and glide straight to Nasty Nork. It's called the Rat Proxy.
Wait,
and it's
so
stupidly hard. You need to read the rat's positioning, then have him charge into the corner, and then need to essentially weave around the side of the rat's hitbox to reach the corner in time. It's like a lottery to get the positioning just right and beat the rat to the corner, then get the proxy. When Tuval posted this, the community reaction was, cool, that'll never be hit in a run, but it's nice that it's possible. For a few months, it was just an oddity and nothing more. Then, Tuval found another method. It was called Coveless. Instead of using the rat, you fly around the back of the Nasty North dragon head, work your way up, then glide around inside. Looks pretty easy. It's not. You have to release charge frame perfectly to get a flop upward, then you need several frame perfect wall glides all in a row to get and maintain enough height to make it inside. I like the rat one more. It was slightly easier than the rat proxy, but not much. Tuval tried hitting it on console, and said it took him 1,000 tries. Both Coveless and the rat proxy would save 40 seconds if ever hit in the run, but they were magnitudes harder than the already difficult Twilight Harbor skip. So improbable that they weren't even worth trying.
Dude, that rat one is
all
so
runners
sick.
could realistically do in a run was Twilight Harbor skip. But maybe one day, the rat proxy or Coveless would come into play. Anyway, Tuval still had work to do, and in the spring of 2014, he set 2 more records, a 40.25 and a 40.03.
You gotta break 40.
Most notably, he finally acquired an NTSC console and eliminated his 30-second disadvantage. Then on June 7th, Tuval broke the 40-minute barrier with a 39.46. A lot of the time save came from better movement and cleaning up small mistakes. Nothing too flashy, but this is the work you must put in if you want to set world records. Yet, since it still took him 3 tries to get Twilight Harbor skip, Tuval had to push onward. Once again, the timeline isn't 100% clear after this, but we know that 2.5 months later, Saboom got an enormous world record improvement of 39.16.
50 seconds off.
There's no video, and not much is known about the run itself, but we know that the YouTube description simply said, no words, so this run was likely way ahead of its time. In January 2015, Tuval beat it with a 39.12, a run where he decided to just fly into a wall in Alpine Ridge. Oh, that makes more sense. There's no collision, and it's a more direct route. By now, Tuval and Saboom had been trading the record.
What the fuck are these devs doing? Just put collision in. How do they just fucking make everything no collide at the end?
From a 43-minute run all the way to a low 39. They had separated themselves as by far the best runners of Spyro any percent. But Spyro has another main category, 120%, where you must collect every single gem, dragon, and egg in the game. These two categories were on roughly equal footing, each with its own set of speedrunners. And in early 2015, 120%'s top runner decided to give any percent a try. His name was Chris LBC. Chris was the longtime record holder in 120%. He'd beaten Tuval in mid-2014 and hadn't looked back, setting 10 records in a row and lowering the time by 2 full minutes. Across all that, he'd mostly ignored any percent, but after dominating 120%, he was ready for a new challenge. As you'd expect, he picked up any percent fast, but it was a very different run from 120%. Since you're picking and choosing what to collect, your route matters a ton, and since it's a shorter run, there's less wiggle room overall. The most frustrating part of the run for Chris was Twilight Harbor skip, which isn't used in 120%. He developed some consistency with it just like Tuval and Saboom, but still, Chris hated making it so far into runs just to throw most of them away.
What a pain.
He grinded attempts like crazy, accumulating thousands of runs in just a few months. He was pretty aggressive at resetting early if he wasn't on a pace that he wanted. But thanks to his expertise in 120%, his movement was impeccable, which let him pick up time over other runners. In late 2015, Chris got on the best pace Spyro any percent had ever seen. He amassed a 30 gem lead after Beastmakers while being even with the record. Just about the only mistake was when he struggled to get an egg in Magic Crafters. After Jacques, Chris had about a 10-second lead over the 39.12 world record. But it was time for Twilight Harbor skip. If he got this first try, he could get an incredible sub 39. Second try, and he could still break the record by a few seconds. Anything slower, and it was likely over.
Let's try. Lean forward. Gamer lean. Let's go. 38.
Oh my god. It happened.
That's hard to beat.
It took him many months, but it was worth the wait. Chris broke Tuval's record by 17 seconds. This was a near perfect run. His mistakes were extremely minimal, and there just wasn't much time save available. So naturally, Tuval had to try and beat it.
Okay.
In March 2016, Tuval got on a run that fell behind early, lots of bonks and small mistakes. He then missed the proxy at the start of Clifftown, where an enemy lands on and ejects you up to the roof. He had to die and try again. Then, Misty Bog was disastrous.
He's way
At the
behind.
end of the level, there's a hallway filled with enemies. It's a very inconsistent room. Sometimes you make it through unscathed, other times you take lots of damage. In this run, Tuval got hit several times, taking 3 hits from frogs before finally dying from a Nork. It cost another 20 seconds. By the time he made it to Nasty's world, Tuval was over a half minute behind the record.
GG.
A first try Twilight Harbor skip wouldn't come close to saving this. The only option remaining was to try and skip both Nork Cove and Twilight Harbor.
Okay, wait.
I mentioned before there were 2 methods for this, and the more consistent one was Coveless.
To the mouse.
That's what Tuval was going to try to go for.
Okay.
But it wasn't looking good. He'd spent hours practicing just to hit it once. Yet it was his only option to try and save this run.
Okay. Oh. Oh.
What?
Oh! Wait a minute!
Okay. Well then.
What is that? That's a crazy
There
punch.
exists a scale
Damn
of
it,
how hard
sis.
various speedrunners pop off when they do something cool. Tuval is pretty close to the bottom. This was the most amazing thing Spyro
Dude, you have to
speedrunning
pop
had
off
ever
more.
seen. With his back against the wall, Tuval had hit a 1 in 1,000 trick to save a world record.
That is sick.
His reaction? Well then, this wasn't supposed to happen. Maybe he was in shock.
I have to rant about this. I don't get it. It's so common watching these videos. If you are going to dedicate your life to an obscure video game and put thousands and thousands of hours in, and you finally get the goal you've been grinding for hours, be a little excited. Just let people know how much this means to you. Be like, fuck yeah. You give them, pop off a little bit, bro. It's crazy. Why do they all like, ugh. Half the time they shit on their own run. I guess that was a world record. God, that sucked. It's crazy. Pop off, bro.
But the rest of the community lost their minds. Tuval had gotten Coveless in a record. The rest of the run was nothing special, big slowdowns in almost every world. But the fact alone that it had Coveless made it very strong. The best hope of beating it would be to build up a huge lead without any of the mistakes that Tuval made, then bleed most of, but not all of it, to skipping Coveless. It was a long shot, even for these guys. For the next year and a half, nobody new got a sub 40, and none of the top few runners improved their times at all. There was much more focus on 120%, where the world record dropped by nearly 2 full minutes. All the while, Tuval's 38.51 remained on top in any percent.
Beast.
Finally, in late 2017, there was an improvement. Saboom reportedly got a 38.42, but yet again the video was deleted. Still, it can't be overstated what Saboom did for Spyro speedrunning. He used strategies years ahead of his time, and when his videos were viewable, his runs almost looked like they were from the future. He did this in multiple categories across several Spyro games. Then in mid-2018, it was beaten again, this time by Chris LBC. It followed the exact blueprint from earlier. He cleaned up all of Tuval's mistakes, gave back time from skipping Coveless, and still got a nice world record of 38.31.
Wow. Nice.
Well, really it was more than just a nice record, it was nearly perfect for the strategies used. Chris nailed everything, had no substantial mistakes, and got probably the cleanest record the game had ever seen.
Okay, respect.
It was so good. that it thrust Spyro Any% into a dormant period.
Right. Too good.
See, the 38-31 signified a run reaching its breaking point. To realistically lower the record further, Coveless now had to be implemented in all runs. And there wasn't much motivation to run a category where more than 99% of runs were destined to die at the very end. All top runners agreed it wasn't worth trying.
Yeah, that's miserable.
So they all stopped. In the second half of 2018,
and then COVID,
all of 2019,
it happened every time.
2020.
Every fucking time, dude. It's like the game was dead. The speed run was basically over. And then COVID happens. Everyone's locked at home. And they just break every fucking million new glitches come out.
There was hardly any movement at the top of the leaderboard.
COVID brought speedrunning back
remained
everywhere.
Quiet. Chris, Saboom, and Tuval all weren't budging. To break the gridlock at the top, one of two things needed to happen. Either something new had to be discovered,
or a global pandemic.
A new contender had to come along. Well, as fate would have it, in late 2020, Spyro got its first new record contender in years. And
that's what I'm talking about! Yeah!
What? His power level was increasing. With 120% done, the next thing Deo could conquer was Any%. But again, Coveless wasn't exactly his idea of a good time. Well, luckily for Deo Man, right around the time he broke the 120% record, there was an advancement at the end of Any% runs. It all comes back to the rat.
Oh shit.
A Spyro runner named Hopkid had long been interested in the rat proxy. He wondered if there was any way to make it more consistent. As it stood, rat proxy was even worse than Coveless. You did a charge jump into the wall, hoped you beat the rat there, and hoped to proxy. It was far, far under a 1% trick.
Okay.
Well, in 2020, Hopkid found a new method that was sort of the inverse of a charge jump. You'd start with a jump, then glide in toward the rat, charge to kill it, and have the rat land on top of you.
Oh.
Approaching the rat's hit sphere from above and slightly in front meant it was much easier to beat it to the corner. However, it also meant you now had to wait for the rat to go into the corner.
Okay,
and depending on its pattern, this could be instant, could take several seconds, or could even take several minutes. Hopkid made a tutorial for his new method in mid-2020, but it was mostly ignored by Any% runners. When Deo saw this, his reaction was, and I quote, "Well, all these people are too lazy to do it in Any%, so I'll be the first."
Beast.
And so began Deo's quest. Hit the rat proxy in a run, and break the world record.
Okay, beast.
His consistency with the trick wasn't good, but it gradually got better. First 1 in 100, then 1 in 50. To practice, anytime he had a run make it there, he tried the trick until he hit it, even if it took dozens of attempts.
Okay.
Using this method, his consistency improved, and he occasionally had sessions as good as 1 in 10. He almost never hit it first try, but he was getting better.
Okay, beast.
It all led to a run on January 19th, 2021. While Deo made plenty of mistakes in Peacekeepers and Magic Crafters, he made it all the way to Nasty's World, and finally got a first try rat proxy.
Woo!
Come on, baby! This is the one! This is the one right here!
He ultimately finished with a 38-33, just 2 seconds behind the world record.
Oh.
Deo was officially record capable. All he had to do now was get another slightly faster run into Nasty's World
then do it again.
and hit another rat proxy.
Dude, the rat proxy's
Not too
sick.
bad,
It's
right?
like a really sick hit.
Oh, man, come on! Pray
Again.
for me. Please pray for me. This run
Again.
can either be insane or it will probably die. One of those two. So please pray for me.
Oh, rip.
No, dude.
Okay. Oh, it's a fucking pain in the ass glitch.
That hurts. That hurts. Why don't he want me, man? Why don't this run want me, man?
I like his personality. Oh!
No!
Dude.
Come on,
It
dude.
looks like it's working. I fucking pain in the ass glitch.
Let's go.
Okay. Okay?
Okay, let's go. Okay, this could be a world record.
Boom!
Let's go. Let's go. New world record, 38:20. Come on, man.
There it was. Deo was now the
Let's
record
go!
holder in both 120% and any percent. In this run, he was pretty close with Chris's record through Peacekeepers, but suffered a big time loss when he lost his supercharge early in High Caves. He saved a bit from great movement through Beastmakers, and while he had to wait about 15 seconds on the rat, he pulled way ahead after getting the proxy. And though it seemed to be inevitable for weeks, now that it had happened, Deo couldn't believe it.
Holy moly. Hi, YouTube. Hi, YouTube. What up, YouTube?
After a few hours, reality set in, and after thinking on it, Deo posted a message to Discord. I'm not done. He explained that he kind of only got record because of the rat proxy, and that beyond the new trick, this was a worse run than Chris's 38-31. Speaking objectively, it's hard to disagree with that. Deo said he'd only feel good about it if he got a 37.
I scrolled up and saw a lot of salty comments about my execution. I'm sorry. I want to be good, and like you, I want the world record to be an optimized run. I know I only got the record because of the rat. It's cheap, I get it. Shut the fuck up! Salty ass, bitch ass comments. Bro, he did the fucking hard trick. Wow, it pisses me off, bro. Pisses me off, dude. Shut the fuck up, salty ass comments. He's the world record. You want to beat the world record? You do the fucking rat trick.
Hard to disagree with that. Deo said he'd only feel good about it if he got a 37-minute run. That would be comparable to what Chris got, plus the new rat proxy. It'd truly be a better record no matter how you looked at it. Over the next few weeks, Deo scored a couple small record cuts, a 38-15 followed by a 38-14. Each one had a second try rat proxy at the end, leaving obvious room for improvement. One new strategy he used was a wall clip in Metalhead.
Whoa.
It works like a proxy, except the enemy's hitbox is so big that it ejects you forward.
Whoa.
It was found by Hummeldon and saves about 8 seconds. These new records were nice, but not quite what Deo was looking for.
37
on March 23rd, Deo fell behind early after missing this jump in Dry Canyon. But after that, things went really well. He gradually chipped into his deficit, so that by the time he made it to Nasty's World, he was only barely behind.
Okay.
And then, Deo got a first try rat proxy.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah!
Yeah, baby, 38:03. Come on.
A huge record, and very close to
This is like my
goal.
favorite speedrunner ever.
But due to his big mishap in Dry Canyon, he was still a few seconds short. As great as this was, Deo didn't want to stop. He continued his stream that day, and a short while later, he got on another run.
Same day?
A lot of high-level Spyro players would reset at this point. Do you think resetting got me a world record? Think about that.
He's got a good attitude, bro.
All right, guys, pray. Can I do the back-to-back, bro? If I get another first try rat, dude, that'd be so legendary. That would just be the best.
Come on, rat. Oh! He's the goat!
You're kidding me. Okay.
He's the goat, bro. Boom. 37!
The back-to-back! The back-to-back! Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? I am the best there ever was. The best. Legendary. 2 world records in one day. The first 37 ever done in this game. Whoa!
Cinema!
Oh, man. I
love
am
that.
sick and I'm humble.
Perhaps the greatest accomplishment in Spyro
That's great.
speedrunning
That's an
history.
awesome
A
pop-off.
38:03 and a 37:57
That's
on
awesome.
the same day. He started as just a 120% specialist. Now, Deo was undoubtedly the game's best player, no matter the category.
Yup.
And he'd just broken probably the last minute barrier possible
Spyro
in
Go.
Spyro any percent. Mission accomplished.
2 perfect rats. Two perfect rats. Are you kidding me?
Chris, Saboom, and Tuval all weren't interested in playing anymore, and there really wasn't anyone else record capable. Even if there was, this was an optimized world record with a first try rat proxy. Deo had put it in a good spot. Top level Spyro has historically had alternating periods of activity and inactivity. After the 3757, it was inactive for about a year and a half. But in 2022, it entered a period of activity that has lasted to this day. It all started that November with the emergence of a new top-level runner, Lumi Laura.
Lumi Laura.
Laura first got into Spyro speedrunning in 2020, and while she had an unassuming start, that gradually changed. When Deo got his 3757, she was down in 24th place. In early 2022, she became the 9th person to get a sub 40.
She was in Ludwig's Fast 50?
Half a year later,
cool.
she became the 5th person to get a 38. It was slow, methodical improvement, but it made Laura into a record contender by mid-2022. Part of the way she did this was by creating a new route nicknamed Bikeless. In high caves, there's a strat called Bike Caves, where you supercharge and then quickly run through the level collecting 104 gems. It's very difficult and historically killed a lot of runs. Laura decided to try skipping it and collect those 104 gems elsewhere, scattered through the earlier and later worlds.
How are they still
It actually
changing
ended
the
up
gem
being
route?
faster and much more consistent. It meant she got many more runs to the end game. But as we know, in the end game is the rat. And as good as your pace is, it really doesn't matter until you get the rat proxy. In November 2022, Laura got a 38.08 with a 14-second mistake in Dreamweavers. Take out that mistake, and the run would have beaten Deo. It was clear now that Laura had what it took to break the record.
She got the rat?
But just like Deo, she had to get the rat proxy on a good pace.
Dude, having to wait for the rat is so fucking
This again,
ridiculous.
really?
I'm surprised you're not so much madder. I would be so mad.
Oh, he diverted off to the left. Why?
This is exactly what Deo went through 2 years earlier.
Dude, what a pain
Run
in the
after
ass.
run on record pace, all dead to the rat. Laura was losing faith she'd ever be able to hit it
What
in
a
a run.
pain in the ass.
So, in a bold move, Laura decided to go back to Coveless full time and ignore the rat proxy. Coveless was a really unlikely trick, but she wasn't getting the rat, so maybe it was worth a try. It was just a matter of getting another run to Nasty's World, which at this point she did regularly. But on March 14th, Laura got not only a good pace, but the best pace Spyro had ever seen into Nasty's World. A 35.54, way ahead of the world record. Her bikeless route was executed to perfection, and the run was virtually mistake-free.
I'm locked in.
It was time to put her theory to the test.
Coveless or
Laura was
bust?
going to go for Coveless.
Boom. Okay. Hit the water. Ah! Oh no! Oh no!
Come on.
Last chance.
Okay. All right, it's fine. We've got a chance at rat. It's rat. We got a chance at rat.
We gotta go rat.
That's not going in.
Oh god. Dude, you have to wait for this stupid Chungus rat.
Wait, we got another chance. We've got so much time. Literally got this chance.
Oh my god. Oh shit!
Oh my god. No. Oh my god.
Yeah, you still gotta clutch
oh my
up.
god.
You still gotta clutch up. You still gotta clutch up.
This is it. This is it.
That's tight.
Yes!
That's awesome.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
3 years of build-up, and Laura had finally done it. And it couldn't have been a stranger run. The best pace ever seen by far, then going for and
Dude,
missing
imagine if she got
Coveless before backing it up with a first try rat proxy. At the end of it all was an outburst of pure emotion.
It wasn't a first try, it was a second try rat proxy.
God, it's 37.55 by me.
The journey
Beast.
to break a world record sure isn't easy. It isn't straightforward, and it'll push you to your limits. But when it finally happens,
she current world
the
record?
sense of accomplishment is
Oh, no.
unmatched. There were now 2 players with the sub 38, Laura and Deo. But they weren't the only record
Oh my God.
contenders.
Someone
it
else?
took Laura a while to get to 37.55, several months of grinding in late 2022 and early 2023. And in that time, another
almost
new player
up to
popped
today.
up, Atrioc.
Atrioc.
Laura's slow and steady improvement to the top was the complete opposite of Ash. She began as a top-level Vortex runner in 2021,
What's
a side
Vortex?
category of Spyro speedrunning. So by the time she took any percent more seriously in late 2022, she was able to quickly go from a 41.18 to a 39 flat, all during Laura's push for the top spot. Ash became a world record threat in a matter of weeks.
Jesus.
Ultimately, Laura's record lasted just a few days before
What?
Ash beat it with a 37.46.
Oh my God. That's
Now,
kinda
in a lot
sus.
of ways, this run wasn't as good as Laura's. Ash slowly bled time through Peacekeepers, had a not great Misty Bog, and missed the
Was it a
clip in
first
Metal
try
Bog.
rat?
But these were all fairly small mistakes, and most importantly, she got a first try rat proxy to save 30 seconds over
Damn,
Laura.
that rat is so warped.
Ash actually wrote in the description to just go watch Laura's run since it was better. But that's the power
nice
of a first
of her.
try rat proxy. So, we have Laura's run, which was amazing but bled half a minute in Nasty's world, and we have Ash's run, which was much slower but had an amazing Nasty's world.
Okay.
Combine these two runs, and the result would be a sub 37.30.
Sheesh.
That was the new goal. But although they ascended the leaderboard
Bro,
at different
oh, what a
speeds,
pain in the ass,
Laura and
though.
Ash both arrived there at the same time and really enjoyed competing with each other. In fact, they looked at this goal as a collaboration, not a competition.
Wow.
They wanted to help each other get to 37.2x. Over the spring of 2023, that's exactly what played out.
That's big of him. Because when I was racing Linkus for the world record, I used to put poison in his food to try and make him subtly worse. So like, it's just interesting how you have different, like I would like invite him over to meals and then I would put a little bit of poison in it. Not like a lot, not to kill him, but just like slow him down, you know? Tough but fair. That's why he had a heart attack in his run. That rat trick is pissing me off just watching. Oh? The run?
Oh,
37-27!
the dream run!
After weeks of back and forth, Laura got her self-described dream run.
37,
Time losses were very minimal.
27.
Getting stuck on a wall in night flight, missing gems in Misty Bog, some small movement mistakes, all adding up to just a handful of seconds across a more than half-hour speed run. Laura and Ash had worked together to take the run to this point, and while Laura had crossed the finish line, they both deserved the credit. This was a good spot to let the record rest for a while. It was sub 37.30, a nice round
pretty hard to
milestone,
beat.
and speedrunners like round milestones. All in all, a fantastic world record. But speedrunners are constantly looking for something new. A faster trick, a more consistent setup, a once optimized record can instantly become subpar. Depending on what's discovered, someone can wreak havoc just by discovering a new strategy.
Okay.
Laura's 37.27 lasted for a few months, but in mid-2023, a player named Days Bagabones came along. Mr. Bagabones discovered a couple new tricks in rapid succession.
Okay.
First, the long back rat, a method to force the rat to the corner without relying so much on its pattern. This was absolutely huge for consistency. You line yourself up in front of the rat so that the hitboxes are just barely touching, then press square for exactly 2 frames to kill it, and hold left or right so the rat drags you along with it to the corner. This is called getting surfed. There are many variations of the long back rat depending on the rat's starting position. So although a ton of RNG was taken out, The trade-off was having to learn a seemingly endless amount of small adjustments.
Yeah, but still.
But boy was it worth it. With practice, top-level runners are able to get the long back rat about a third of the time. Long gone are the days of 1 in 1,000 lottery tickets. The long back rat means any deep pace has a good chance. The other trick Days found was Nestor Skip. At the very start of the game is a dragon named Nestor, literally right in front of you. Runners didn't collect him because he's the only dragon in the entire game where you can't skip his dialogue. At least, you couldn't until Days Bag of Bones came along.
Oh?
By perfectly timing and positioning a flop, you can get stuck on top of his hitbox. The game auto-kills Spyro after a few seconds, and the cutscene never plays despite collecting the dragon.
That's beast.
It's an extremely difficult quadruple frame perfect trick, with timings all over the place.
That's beast.
In most attempts, you would reach the top but just fall off after a moment. It was initially viewed as unviable for runs, but gradually any percent players warmed up to it. It saves about 7 seconds, and runners had to individually decide if that was enough to grind this over and over again at the start of runs. Between Nestor Skip and the long back rat, Days Bag of Bones had breathed new life into Spyro speedrunning. A sentence that's never been spoken before. With new strategies come new records. In the fall of 2023, Laura and Ash took turns lowering the world record another 10 seconds. Laura chose to do Nestor Skip while Ash did not, and ultimately that did give Laura a bit of an advantage. By the end of 2023, her 37:19 remained as the world record. We've seen a lot from Laura and Ash lately, but there was one contender who'd been uncharacteristically quiet over the past few years. Deo Man.
Deo Man.
Deo hadn't touched any percent since 2021. He put all of his focus into 120%. In 2023, he got what he considered to be the ultimate run of the category, an hour and 20 minutes, the 120 in 120%. Once he got that, he embarked on a new quest. After all these years, could he climb the mountain again and reclaim the any percent world record? Deo had work to do. He had to learn bike lists, the long back rat, and other small optimizations. However, just like Ash, he decided to not go for Nestor Skip.
Everybody in the Spyro Discord be like, you know that route is actually not as good. Shut the f up, nerds.
It meant he got a lot of runs going.
This guy calling other people in the Spiral Discord community nerds. You fucking nerd. I just grind speedruns for thousands of hours of Spyro like a fucking jock Chad.
And results quickly followed. In late March 2024, Deo got PBs on back-to-back days, 37:30 and 37:28. They each had big time losses, but despite the break, his skill was clearly right back up there with his rivals. But he wasn't the only one making a push. On April 7th, Ash tied Laura's record quite literally to the frame.
Wow.
37:19.233.
That's insane.
2 days later, she beat it by a second with a 37:18. Just as before, Ash had a knack for making quick moves in any percent. World records 48 hours apart. But the 37:18 did have mistakes, and there was still room to take it lower. It put the pressure back on Deo. In mid-April, he closed in with a 37:25, which had a death at the start of Clifftown. It would have been world record if not for that mistake.
Yikes!
Ash countered with a 37:17 and 37:15 again just days later.
Yes.
We're in 2024 now.
Yes.
As good as Deo was, Ash had a fast response every single time. She was relentless. But they were still neck and neck. Either runner had a chance at getting the dream run. On May 28th, Deo got a run that matched his PB's strong first two worlds, then started gradually pulling ahead.
Okay.
He entered Misty Bog, one of the hardest levels, and it went well.
Okay.
The good vibes kept rolling.
Okay.
A solid treetops, then he got the clip in Metalhead and even got a gold split.
Okay.
After Dreamweavers went well, this was officially the fastest run ever going into the Rat Proxy.
Okay.
Deo had no
First try
choice
Rat?
but to stay calm despite what was unfolding. This was the highest pressure attempt at the rat proxy of all time.
Long back rat. Oh! Oh, first try!
All right, here we go.
Damn, he's fucking locked in. Oh!
Yeah, dude.
Damn, he's actually not even popped out. He's like,
It didn't set in at
how
first.
much effort that
Perhaps
was.
he turned off his adrenaline to try and finish the run. But the celebration ramped up over time. And we even got a classic Deo Man speech.
I was like hoping I could get in the low 3710s, and even then I was considering putting it down at that point. This run was really something special.
This was an amazing run.
Hell yeah.
So amazing that it was close to another minute barrier. There really wasn't much time to save, but if Deo could find 4 more seconds, he'd have a sub 37. Speedrunners can't resist those milestones.
Yeah.
Deo kept going. He played all through the summer of 2024, but with such an optimized record, he struggled to get much. On August 23rd, he came really close to the 37 flat, missing the barrier by just a quarter of a second.
That sucks.
And it
That
didn't
sucks.
take long to go the rest of the way. 10 days later, Deo had another extremely close run midway through, had a sloppy Alpine ridge to lose a few seconds, and from there was nearly flawless. A first try rat, a quick chase, and all the pop-offs that he'd suppressed came out at once. It took Deo
Take the
6
shirt
months
off.
of regular playing to get the sub 37. The community gave him his well-deserved congratulations. Even his competitors who'd played right alongside him. This was everything he wanted. The 120 and 120%,
37.
and the sub 37 in any percent.
Damn,
Deo's journey was
goated.
complete. His only time losses were small, 1 to 2 seconds here and there. This was a run that was poised to stand as the world record for a long, long time. But in speedrunning, you just never know what to expect. It only takes one new runner, or one new strategy. Deo poured his heart and soul into this 36:58, and it was an amazing run. But it lasted as the record for just a few months. In early 2025, along came a new top runner to any percent.
Now.
Composer.
Composer.
Much like Ash, Composer got their start in Vortex, getting the world record there in 2022. Vortex is a short run, where every fraction of a second matters. It requires close attention to detail, and Composer applied that idea to any percent. They wanted to squeeze every last frame out of the run, and literally programmed practice codes to grind certain tricks over and over.
That's what you gotta do.
A consistency-first mentality seen in the world's best speedrunners, like Nitsky and Suiji. But we know how good Deo's run was, and there were no big time saves available. So to try and beat it, Composer looked for small time saves around the edges.
Okay, nerd.
Some that they'd found, and some found by others. Turning around faster in Clifftown before jumping on this roof. Taking a harsher line and coming out of Shemp. A faster blind turn up the magic stairs. Turning around to the last gems faster in treetops.
Okay.
There was a lot more like this. Individually, they each saved a second or less. But combined, Composer could save several seconds over Deo.
Sure.
This was Composer's attention to detail in full effect. It's the small things adding up, and it worked. In January 2025, 4 months after Deo's sub 37, Composer beat it by exactly 1 second.
Damn.
And the community recognized that Composer had the potential to go much further. In an effort to reclaim his record, Deo came back to attempts with a brand new route called Shempless. He'd do Nestor skip and hang on to the extra dragon, then skip the boss Dr. Shemp in Peacekeepers, where he gave back the 1 dragon advantage. It saved a few seconds, and on April 25th, he got a 3657 of his own. Composer, on the other hand, tried something a little different. They wanted to switch routes, but were insistent on not doing Nestor skip. So they still skipped Dr. Shemp, but collected Ivor in Dry Canyon instead of Nestor. This is a very difficult dragon to collect fast, and uses boosted skitter jumps, just like in the old Twilight Harbor skip. But Composer preferred it over Nestor skip, and used it to get a 3643.
Oh my god.
A few days after that, they decided to randomly try Nestor skip when someone in chat suggested it. and then broke the record with a 36:39.
Let's go! Let's go!
So now they kind of had to do it going forward.
Yeah, wow. That
Composer's
chatter-
final new route included Nestor Skip, Ivor, and Shempless. It was a brilliant route
So
and helped
much
him
fucking
save
hard
even
tricks.
more time. After another record of 36:38 in July, Deo was left in the dust. The new time saves and routes were hard to keep up with, and Composer's consistency was unreal. He needed some sort of a response. And on August 6th, he got one with a 36:47, 9 seconds behind the record and still not using the new route. But a few days later, Composer improved again with
Jesus.
a 36:35.
Jesus.
Deo just couldn't
They're a
keep
machine.
up. Finally, Deo decided if he was going to stand a chance, he had to commit to the new route with Ivor. It was a pain, but Composer had raised the bar. This was the only way to compete with them. But would it be enough? On August 25th, Deo fell a bit behind early, then made a mistake in Bite
Respect to
Caves,
Dale for
which
learning
was now
new
back
shit.
in the run. He then missed an egg in Wizard Peak and
hard
had to
to
get
do.
a backup at the end. This was a pretty big deficit now. It was time to see what this new route could do.
Banger music.
I tied it! Oh! I tied record!
Tie?
Let's go!
For the second time, Deo had tied
Damn.
the record. But unlike the tie from a few months ago, this was technically a couple frames faster than Composer's run. So it was officially a new world record.
Yeah, that's cool.
Composer saw
Composer
what Deo had
popped off.
done and booted up a stream of any percent.
Composer's grinding right now. Yo, let's go. It's this would kind of break my heart a little, but it would be kind of funny if Composer beat the 35 today. I could totally see that happening. By the way,
Composer's kind of a machine. Oh!
Well, at least he got a few hours of enjoyment. They made it look
Damn,
easy.
bro.
Spyro has never seen a player like
Holy.
Composer. Many talented former record holders are just behind them on the
Easy.
leaderboard, but they struggle to keep up. And a lot of that is because of Composer's mentality. It's consistency over everything, and trying to optimize even the smallest of time saves. It may seem pointless on an individual level, but zoom out and they're able to pull time out of thin air. Over the course of a few weeks in the summer of 2025, Composer set 5 more world records in
Jesus.
a row, going from 36:30
Jesus.
down to 36:22. The new route helped, the long back rat helped, but mostly, it was their relentless attention to detail. Composer was able to save time that simply wasn't available to other top runners. Most interesting of all was the run they got on September 25th, 2025. The run had 2 key mistakes in the levels
that's so
Treetops
recent
and
now.
Jacques. It was a hopeless situation. Unless they could bust out a trick named Fasty Nork. By unlocking the Nasty Nork key without triggering his cue to run, you can get far enough ahead of him that the game panics and teleports him straight to the end of the chase. You can then reach him with a frame-perfect jump and extremely tight positioning. Composer had no choice but to try it.
Fasty
And they
Nork.
actually hit it,
Clutch.
saving 5 seconds at the very end, just enough to claim a new world record.
Beast.
This past February, Composer was in a similar spot. No choice but to try Fasty Nork.
Oh my god!
And they did it again, bringing back another run from the dead.
Holy dude!
Spyro's had so many good runners over the years, from Surreal and his dozen records in a row, to Tuval and his game-breaking discoveries, and the more recent records set by Deo, Laura, and Ash. But Composer is special. They've taken over in a way that's almost unheard of given modern competition. I've seen a lot over the years, but this is really impressive. This is how the top of the leaderboard currently looks. A pretty comfortable lead for Composer.
Yeah, pretty big lead.
Will they stay on top for years? Or is Mark Cerny about to make his comeback at last? Time will tell. This has been the history of Spyro World Records.
Yeah, really cool.
Thanks for watching.
Cool cast of characters. Cool pop-offs. Cool video. Thanks for watching Cinema. He's done it again, folks. Maybe BJ will come back. Was that a better video than why the Honda Fit is the greatest car ever made? Probably not, but a close second today. Chat, that's the end of my stream. It's a short stream today. I still have slides to finish for tomorrow on the France gold stuff. So thanks for watching. Appreciate you. Sevens, I hope you enjoyed. Bada bing, bada boom. Anything else to say? No, I just appreciate you. Thanks for watching on a Sunday. See you tomorrow on a Monday. Good night. Good night, good night, good night, good night. See you tomorrow.